The 13th leader of ancient Yuan Star, right? I don't care where you're from, but I promise you that couple just now. If you know what's good for you, get lost. If you dare to say another word, all of you can stay here. A cold voice came from within the universe boat, carrying a sense of ruthlessness. When the muscular old man heard this, his expression instantly became extremely unsightly. He stared fixedly at the universe boat in front of him, and there was a hint of anger hidden in his eyes. However, no matter how angry he was, he did not dare to flare up. He could only suppress his anger and retreat to the side. There was nothing he could do. After all, he was only a second-level ruler. Faced with a mysterious great being who owned a universe boat, the only thing he could do was to bring out his own ancient Yuan Star and see if he could intimidate the other party. However, it was obvious that the other party did not care about ancient Yuan Star at all. The other party was extremely tough, but he had to make a concession. Humph, you are quite tactful. Jian Wushuang sat in the universe boat and coldly glanced at the strong elder. Then, the universe boat continued to move forward and soon disappeared from the battlefield. In the universe boat, the couple that Jian Wushuang had saved earlier had appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Thank you for saving us, sir. The cold man bowed respectfully to Jian Wushuang with his wife. He knew very well that if it were not for this mysterious expert, he and his wife would have died at the hands of those space pirates. They had indeed saved their lives, but he did not know why they had saved them. Get up. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and asked, How long have you and your wife been wandering in the universe? It's been more than 100,000 years, sir. Of course, they spent most of their time in the dark void and didn't come to the outside of the purple microgalaxy until recently. The cold man replied. More than 100,000 years? Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. In fact, if he did not have a universe boat, it would take him more than 100,000 years to travel from his hometown to the outside of the purple microgalaxy. Where are you going? Jian Wushuang asked again. We want to go to the winged fire star field. One of my masters and elders is there, the cold man said. Unfortunately, to go to the winged fire star field, we have to go through the purple microstar river. However, there are countless pirates in the purple microstar river. We know the dangers of the purple microstar river, so we have been waiting outside the star river until we joined a strong team. We thought we could go to the winged fire star field safely, but who would have thought? The cold-faced man did not continue, but Jian Wushuang already understood. The team that the couple was in was indeed not weak. There were more than a dozen masters. In the purple microgalaxy, ordinary Star Island groups did not want to provoke them, but the ancient Yuan Star they encountered this time. It was obvious that it was a very large Star Island group that dared to directly attack and rob them. My universe boat's destination is the purple microstar field. We'll pass by the winged fire star field along the way. You and your wife can choose to stay on the universe boat. You can leave when you pass by there, Jian Wushuang said. Thank you, sir. The cold-faced man and the red-clothed woman were overjoyed. Their team had been killed and fled. Although they were still alive, they did not have the ability to survive in this galaxy with their strength alone. They would be easily killed by the space pirates. However, if they could ride this universe boat, it would be completely different. This cold-looking man was, after all, a ruler. Although he had just left his hometown not long ago, he had a master and an elder who had roamed the universe for a long time. He knew some things more or less. He was very clear that to be able to own a universe boat, this person could practically walk unhindered within the purple microstar field. Of course, he and his wife were overjoyed to be able to follow such an important person to the winged fire star field. You don't have to be so polite. We have just left our hometown to explore the universe, and the journey has been a little too boring. Now that the two of you are on this boat, you can be our companions, Leng Rushuang said. You are also husband and wife? The cold man and the red-clothed woman seemed to understand why the master of the universe boat would save them. While Jian Wushuang drove the universe boat and continued to fly in the galaxy. Somewhere in the purple micro-galaxy, there was a piece of land floating quietly. In the universe galaxy, there was neither an astral world nor a land. The reason why there was a land here was that powerful cultivators had forcibly settled a land here. And on this continent, there were countless palaces and pavilions. This was ancient Yuan Star's nest. And ancient Yuan Star was ranked in the top 10 among the countless pirate gangs in the purple micro-galaxy. So, a large group of figures returned to ancient Yuan Star under the lead of the 13 leaders, the muscular old man. 13th. Why did you return so quickly from the hunt this time? A hearty laughter rang out as a silver-haired, long-robed, middle-aged man came forward to welcome them. There were a total of 17 leaders on ancient Yuan Star, and their rankings were determined by their strength. For example, the muscular old man ranked 13th was at the peak of the second tier, but he was only ranked 13th. The silver-haired, long-robed, middle-aged man who appeared was also a leader of ancient Yuan Star, being ranked 10th. It was obvious that he was already a third-tier ruler. Don't mention it. It's bad luck, the sturdy old man said impatiently. Bad luck? The silver-haired, middle-aged man couldn't help but be surprised. What's going on? Did we meet a tough nut on the way to hunt? That's not it. The sturdy old man shook his head. It's not that you don't know how I do things. Before I make a move against a team, I'll first think of a way to find out the specific strength of the other party. Once I have a certain degree of confidence, I'll make a move. It's the same this time. Although the lineup of the team I met wasn't bad, the people I brought out could have completely slaughtered them. But in the end, something happened on the way. Unforeseen circumstances? What unforeseen circumstances? The silver-haired, long-robed, middle-aged man asked. When we were on the way to slaughter that team, a universe boat actually headed straight for us, and it landed on the battlefield and took away the 2 rulers of that team. Those 2 rulers were already on our lips, the muscular old man said, somewhat indignant. Universe boat? The silver-haired, long-robed, middle-aged man was secretly shocked. Then he said seriously, 13. They are just 2 ordinary rulers. It is not a big deal. Since a great being with a universe boat has come forward to protect them, you can just take a step back. I know great beings who own universe boat are not to be trifled with, but I am still unreconciled to the meat on the tip of my tongue. So I went forward to negotiate with the great beings in universe boat, and I even brought up my ancient Yuan Star. Who would have thought that the other party did not care about my ancient Yuan Star at all? He even directly asked me to get lost, and if I were to say one more word, he would kill all of us. The sturdy old man clenched his hands tightly. In a low voice he said, no matter what, he is still snatching the meat from our mouths. Yet he is still so overbearing, completely disregarding our ancient Yuan Star. Of course, this makes me angry. I have been unable to swallow this anger, so naturally, I do not have the mood to continue hunting. Is that so? The silver-haired, middle-aged man in the long robe nodded slightly, but then he smiled. Why are you not happy? Don't tell me you want to drag out the great beings in universe boat and kill them. The muscular old man was stunned, but then he shook his head. I'm not stupid. How could I dare to attack him directly? Even if I'm angry, I can only endure it. It's good that you know. The middle-aged man in the silver-haired robe laughed. In the universe, to be able to own a universe boat is enough to show his identity and power. Unless we have absolute confidence to figure out his true power and means, we shouldn't provoke such a person. I know, but this person has been hiding in universe boat and hasn't shown himself. There are arrays on universe boat that block my soul probing, so I can't find out his true power, so I don't dare to act rashly. However, the more this is the case, the more unwilling I am to accept it. If the other party is really a powerful great being and he shows himself or shows a little godly power or aura, and it really scares me, then it's fine for me to be reprimanded by him. But what if the person in universe boat isn't a great being and he's just using universe boat to put on airs? Then I'll become a joke, said the sturdy old man. In the universe, there were many people who relied on universe boat to put on airs. Everyone knew that those who could own universe boat were all extraordinary, so naturally, very few people dared to provoke them. However, the universe was so big that there were some weaker people who had obtained universe boat by chance. In the purple microstar field alone, it had happened several times that the other party rode universe boat, but his own power was very ordinary. There was even a principal's master who rowed universe boat. Old man, do you think the person I met this time is a real great being? Or is he just putting on an act with the help of universe boat? Asked the muscular old man. I don't know. The silver-haired, middle-aged man shook his head. It's hard to get a universe boat, said the middle-aged man. There's no doubt about that. Under normal circumstances, those who own a universe boat must be real great beings or people with a big background. Of course, there are also some people who are lucky enough to get such a universe boat. However, such situations are rare. However, from what you just said, the other party didn't show up at all. He didn't even show his godly power or aura. That's strange. You think it's strange too? The muscular old man's eyes lit up. A little, but I can't be sure. The silver-haired, middle-aged man's voice was calm, but his gaze suddenly turned toward the muscular old man. 13. If you're really unhappy and feel aggrieved, and you can't take this lying down, you can try to probe that universe boat, but don't show yourself. Just send your subordinates to probe it, or use some other method to figure out the level of power of the great beings in the universe boat. Then you can decide whether to make a move or not. Ha ha! The old man laughed. I've been waiting for you to say that. To tell you the truth, I've been planning to do that for a long time. However, I don't need my men to test it out. I just need to wait quietly. I've known for a long time that the couple saved by the great beings in Universe Boat are going to wing fire Starfield. When my men fought with this couple, they used some special methods to sense their location. If I'm not mistaken, this couple should have been on that Universe Boat the whole time. When they arrive at the Wingfire Starfield, they will come down from the universe. We just need to go to the Wingfire Starfield in advance and wait. Once that couple leaves the Universe Boat, we will immediately capture them. By then, we will be able to get information about the great being on that Universe Boat from this couple. That's a good idea. The silver-haired, middle-aged man in the long robe could not help nodding his head. However, that couple rowed on the Universe Boat. The speed of the universe boat traveling through the universe void space isn't something we can compare to. Whether we want to arrive at the winged fire star field ahead of time or catch up with that universe boat later, we'll probably have to use the few universe passages in ancient Yuan Star. The muscular old man frowned. The price of creating a universe passage was extremely high. However, as a large-scale pirate force that could be ranked in the top 10 in the Purple Microgalaxy, there were indeed a few hidden universe passages in the Purple Microgalaxy. However, they were rarely used unless there was a big deal. The price of using this universe passage is extremely high. Although I am also a leader of the ancient Yuan Star, my ranking is relatively lower. If I want to use the universe passage, I have to get the approval of those few people. Old 10, you have to help me talk to them when the time comes, said the strong old man. Okay, leave it to me. When I understand the strength of the great being on the universe boat, if the other party is really putting on airs, I will go with you to deal with that person. If it is not enough, call old 7 and old 5, said the silver-haired middle-aged man in a long robe. Ha ha! Then thank you very much. The strong old man finally laughed. In the Purple Microgalaxy, the speed of the universe boat was naturally not as fast as when it was in the dark void of the universe. Moreover, because of the frequent encounters with space pirates, it would more or less be affected, but the speed was still very fast, at least it was many times faster than the speed of the cultivators. Jian Wushuang and Leng Rushuang stayed in the universe boat, along with the couple. The couple had only stayed in the universe boat for 40 years, and they had already reached the edge of the galaxy near the winged fire star field. Good luck, you two. Jian Wushuang's laughter came from the universe boat, and then the universe boat sped up and flew directly toward the galaxy ahead. The cold-looking man and the red-clothed woman watched the universe boat leave with gratitude. After the universe boat completely disappeared from their sight, the couple also prepared to leave the galaxy and go to the winged fire star field. However, they had just left. Whoosh! 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 A large number of space pirates suddenly appeared and blocked the way of the couple. The giant universe boat continued to sail in the galaxy with the purple microstar field as its goal. Jian Wushuang spent a lot of time on the universe boat with his wife, but he did not neglect his cultivation. Over the years, he had refined the heavenly Tao will of the divine beginning realm. With the help of the heavenly Tao will, His speed of comprehending the principles and the universe principles was ridiculously fast, especially the universe principles. He had improved at an amazing speed. When I was in the state of enlightenment, I comprehended both the principle of gold and the principle of darkness. The principle of gold has perfectly fused with the other principles, so I broke through to become a ruler. Although I have comprehended the principle of darkness, I haven't really fused it. Over the years, I have comprehended a lot of the 7th and 8th principles, but I still haven't completely fused the principle of darkness. I feel that I'm still a little short. Jian Wushuang sat there alone with his legs crossed. He muttered to himself. The improvement of a ruler's realm was determined by the fusion principles. He had fused 5 principles, so he could only be considered a second-level ruler. Although he had comprehended the 6th principle, and even the 7th and even the 8th principle, as long as he did not fuse them, he would still be at the 2nd level. Over the years, Jian Wushuang had also tried to fuse the dark principle, and he had found a way to do so. However, he was still a step away from the actual fusion. Jian Wushuang estimated that he could break through this window at any time. When he fused the 6 principles, even a 3rd-level ruler would have a sudden increase in his overall strength. Under normal circumstances, the more principles I fuse, the more difficult it will be. Most rulers in the universe have to stay at one level for a very long time before they can reach the next level. But for me, with the help of the divine realm's will of heavenly Tao, it's much easier for me to fuse the principles than others. Jian Wushuang chuckled. Although he had not done anything in the past few years, he had gained a lot of benefits from the divine beginning realm, and his overall strength had been increasing rapidly. Suddenly, ha! Jian Wushuang raised his head. He was in control of the universe boat, but his soul power had been spreading all the time. Because he had broken through to become a ruler, his soul had also undergone a transformation. Now, his soul power could detect a wide area. He could now sense that a large number of experts' auras were rushing toward the universe boat. From the looks of it, they seemed to be space pirates. Are they coming for me? It can't be, right? Jian Wushuang's expression was strange. However, he could sense that the space pirates were getting closer to the universe boat, but they still did not stop. Instead, they continued to fly straight toward the universe boat. Are they really coming for us? In the universe boat, Jian Wushuang, Lang Rushuang, and Devil Flame had gathered together. The 3 of them had a strange look on their faces. Under normal circumstances, no space pirates would be so blind as to come to trouble the universe boat. But these space pirates, Devil Flame frowned. Ha! Jian Wushuang noticed that there were many familiar auras among the space pirates. Among them was the 13th leader of the ancient Yuan star, the robust elder. It seems that we have caused some trouble by saving that couple last time. These pirates are from the ancient Yuan star. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. The universe boat had already stopped in the galaxy. The pirates had already come to the front of the universe boat. They saw a large number of pirates gathered there. At a glance, there seemed to be no less than 200 people. Among these pirates, nearly half of them were rulers. Although most of them were only first-tier rulers, there were still more than 20 second-tier rulers. There were even 3 third-tier rulers. The 3 third-tier rulers were clearly in the lead, and aside from them, the muscular old man was standing with them. This is the universe boat. The muscular old man's gaze was cold as he stared at the universe boat that had already come to a halt. Tisk TSK, this universe boat is quite big, and its value is probably not low. It's not a waste for us to take the universe passage to get here. Among the 3 third-level rulers, a man in black armor smiled wickedly. Don't be happy too early. Let's wait until we kill the people in the universe boat. The silver-haired, middle-aged man in a long robe said. The many space pirates from the ancient Yuan star were staring at the universe boat with a hint of excitement in their eyes. In the universe boat, Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry to show himself. Instead, he said in a cold voice, "How dare you block my way? Are you tired of living? Humph, boy, don't put on airs. I figured it out long ago. There are only 3 people in this universe boat. 2 of them are only at the level of a second-level ruler, and one of the guards may be stronger, but he's probably only at the level of a third-level ruler. How dare you say that we're tired of living with such little strength? The robust elder snorted. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. From the moment he entered the purple Myrtle Star River, he had never shown his face or revealed his divine power. After all, there was a magic formation on the universe boat, which would block the soul detection of ordinary experts. In other words, no one could tell how many people were on the universe boat from outside, what level of strength they were at. However, the robust elder knew, and he even told them the truth. It's that couple. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. That couple betrayed us? Lung Rushuang frowned. It should be, but it's hard to say if there's a secret. Jian Wushuang shook his head, and then he walked out of the universe boat. Devil Flame wanted to go up, but he was ordered by Jian Wushuang to stay in the universe boat. The cabin door of the universe boat opened, and Jian Wushuang slowly walked out of the cabin and appeared in front of the space pirates. The space pirates immediately fixed their eyes on Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had only fused 5 principles and was a second-level ruler. The invisible pressure he gave people was also at the second-level ruler level. The moment the leaders saw Jian Wushuang, they immediately saw his realm. The couple didn't lie. The ruler of the universe boat is indeed a second-level ruler. The eyes of the strong elder lit up, and his face became a little ferocious. The 3 third-level rulers next to him also smiled. Under normal circumstances, they would not dare to cause trouble for the experts on the universe boat. But when they learned that there were only 3 people on the universe boat, and that there were 2 second-level rulers, and that there was a guard who was suspected to have the combat power of a third-level ruler, they could not help it. Boy, you are the owner of this universe boat, right? The strong elder stared at Jian Wushuang with a ferocious face. I am. Jian Wushuang nodded. Where is the couple? Dead. The strong elder said directly. Dead. Jian Wushuang frowned. Kiki, that couple didn't know. When they were fighting with my men had left a special mark on them. As soon as they left universe boat, they were caught by us. I forced them to tell me about the experts on universe boat. At first, they were very stubborn, but you know that they are husband and wife, and they love each other very much. I directly threatened them, so it was easy for them to compromise. After I learned about your information from them, they were useless, so I naturally killed them, the muscular elder said with a sneer. Jian Wushuang was silent and shook his head secretly. He did not blame the couple. After all, if he knew that Lung Rushuang's life was in their hands, he would probably compromise. However, the space pirates of ancient Yuan Star were not weak. Not only could they kill the couple so quickly, but they could also catch up with his universe boat. It seemed that there were some hidden universe passageways in this galaxy. Moreover, ancient Yuan Star must have a few of these universe passageways. Boy, do you think you are so lucky to get a universe boat that you can do whatever you want in this galaxy? Today, I want you to taste the consequences of putting on airs in front of me. Old 10, old 7, old 5, I'll leave them to you, said the strong elder. The 3 third-level rulers glanced at Jian Wushuang. He's only a second-level ruler? Such a piece of trash is not qualified for me to kill him. Old 10, kill him, old 5 said. I'm a little interested in the guard beside him. Leave his guard to me later, old 7 said. If you don't want to fight, I will. The silver-haired, middle-aged man smiled and prepared to fight. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Jian Wushuang's voice suddenly sounded with a hint of coldness. At the same time, a black magic sword appeared in his hand. As soon as the black magic sword appeared, a strong aura immediately spread out. The space pirates from ancient Yuan Star were shocked. A principal treasure. It's a principal treasure. The 4 leaders of ancient Yuan Star were ecstatic. The eyes of 5th and 7th, who were not interested in Jian Wushuang, lit up. However, before they could do anything, Jian Wushuang had already attacked. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang did not need any fancy moves at all. He just waved the Wuxia divine sword in his hand. It was just a simple wave and there was no astonishing aura. Strangely, Jian Wushuang only waved the sword. But at this moment, a dazzling sword light appeared in front of the more than 200 space pirates in ancient Yuan Star. A sword light appeared in front of the more than 200 space pirates at the same time. This sword light seemed to be the focus of the universe and attracted the attention of the space pirates. The more than 200 space pirates widened their eyes. Including the leaders, even the 3 third-level rulers. Their eyes were wide open and their faces were full of fear. They stared at the sword light in front of them, trying to block it, but they found that they could not move at all. No, it was not that they could not move, but they were moving like snails. They were too slow to the extreme. Of course, it was not that they were too slow, but the sword light was too fast, so fast that they did not have any chance to block it. Chi, 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 chi. The sound of the blade entering their bodies rang out almost at the same time. These space pirates were also wearing protective armor on their bodies. Most of these protective armor were top-tier and pinnacle true treasures, but a few of them were wearing the most powerful true treasure armor. However, at this moment, these armor were all cut open from the inside. The pinnacle true treasure armor, the most powerful true treasure armor, was no different from a piece of paper in front of Wuxia divine sword. In an instant, the eyes of more than 200 space pirates, including nearly half of the rulers, including the 3 third-level rulers, dimmed. Their bodies also fell down and drifted in the galaxy. The entire galaxy was completely silent at this moment. More than 200 space pirates from the ancient Yuan star were turned into ashes in an instant. Of course, one of them survived. The one who survived was the 13 leaders, the robust elder. When Jian Wushuang waved his sword, the sword light appeared in front of all the space pirates at the same time, but there was no sword light in front of the robust elder. Jian Wushuang deliberately spared a glance at the robust elder. However, although the robust elder was still alive, he was completely shocked at this moment. That moment just now, that sword was still filling his mind, and it did not dissipate for a long time. His eyes were fixed on the young man holding the godly sword in front of him, and his gaze had long become incomparably shocked. Just a moment ago, he was still incomparably confident. He was merely a second-level ruler, and there was no way he could cause any waves in his hands. After killing this person, that universe boat would be his. However, he did not expect that in the blink of an eye, the 3 third-level rulers and the experts from the ancient Yuan star he had brought with him had all died. He was the only one left alive. After killing the experts from the ancient Yuan star, Jian Wushuang put away the Wuxia divine sword. He waved his hand and put the treasures left by the experts into his interspatial ring. Then he returned to the universe boat. Seeing Jian Wushuang enter the universe boat, the strong old man did not dare to move. He was afraid that Jian Wushuang would kill him directly. At this moment, "Come in." Jian Wushuang's voice came from the universe boat. The strong old man's body trembled, and his heart was full of bitterness. At this moment, he really wanted to run for his life, but he knew very well that since Jian Wushuang did not kill him directly, he must have a special purpose. If he chose to run now, he would be killed immediately. But he did not think he could escape from the other party. There was no other way. Although the strong elder was reluctant, he could only follow Jian Wushuang into the universe boat. Inside the universe boat, "Ruler, your strength has improved a lot compared to before." Devil Flame looked at Jian Wushuang and said with a smile, "It's okay." Jian Wushuang just smiled faintly. The burly elder who came in with Jian Wushuang curled his lips. Jian Wushuang had killed more than 200 experts of ancient Yuan star, including 3 rulers of the 3rd level. How terrifying was his strength. But this man only said that he was okay. He did not know that Jian Wushuang had made tremendous progress in the tens of thousands of years since the end of the battle with Devil Cloud Star. Now he was much stronger than when he had just broken through to the ruler realm and killed Star Demon Ancestor. However, Star Demon Ancestor's battle strength was already extremely terrifying among the 4th-level rulers at that time, but Jian Wushuang was able to kill him relatively easily. It was the same at that time, not to mention now. Now, he did not even bother to look at Jian Wushuang, a ruler below the 4th level. Even if he was a 4th-level ruler, only those who stood at the top were qualified to be taken seriously by him. As for the pirates of ancient Yuan star, the strongest one was only a ruler of the 3rd level. Killing them was no different from killing a group of ants to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had already sat down on the throne above. He looked down at the trembling strong elder and asked, "How do you want to die? Please spare my life. Please spare my life." The strong elder was so scared that he immediately knelt down. "Spare my life." Jian Wushuang's lips curled up. "From the moment you brought ancient Yuan Star's Star Island to kill me, you were destined to die. No one could save you, not to mention that you killed the couple that I saved. That's even more heinous. The only thing you can hope for now is to die a quick death." Lung Rushuang, who was sitting with Jian Wushuang, also stared at the strong elder coldly. They had saved the couple because they were touched by the fact that they had shared life and death together. Although they did not have a close relationship with the couple, they knew that they had something in common with each other. However, the couple was killed by the muscular elder. Destined to die? The muscular elder's face turned pale. "Answer my question honestly. I can make your death easier." Jian Wushuang's voice was cold as he asked, "There should be many cosmic passages in this galaxy, right?" "There are a few." The robust elder's expression had become dull. He had made up his mind and was only subconsciously answering Jian Wushuang's question. "Is there a universe passage that leads directly to the end of this galaxy, which is the purple micro-star field?" Jian Wushuang asked. "No," the strong elder shook his head. "There are more top bandit forces in the purple micro-star field than just our ancient Yuan star. Each top bandit force has their own territory. Although our ancient Yuan star is powerful, the universe passage cannot cover the entire galaxy. The farthest one can only reach the vicinity of the Air Demon Star Field." Air Demon Star Field? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. He had a complete star map of the purple microgalaxy, and he knew about the Air Demon Star Field. It was also a star field that he would pass by on this trip, but he was still a long way from it. Even if he traveled by universe boat, it would take him 200 or 300 years to reach it. "It's good that I can get to the Air Demon Star Field directly. It will save me at least 200 to 300 years. Jian Wushuang smiled. "Ruler, are you planning to go to ancient Yuan Star and use their universe passage?" Devil Flame looked at him. "I'm just borrowing it." Jian Wushuang smiled. "Besides, I don't have any enmity with ancient Yuan Star before, but the leaders of ancient Yuan Star actually led people to kill me. Ancient Yuan Star should at least give me an explanation, right?" Devil Flame raised his eyebrows and understood what Jian Wushuang meant. "Not only should I give an explanation to Ruler, but they also have to pay a heavy price for it." "Haha, let's talk about that later." Jian Wushuang smiled and then continued to ask, "How many leaders do you have in ancient Yuan Star? What is their actual strength?" "Sir, there must be 17 leaders in ancient Yuan Star, and the higher the ranking, the stronger they are. From the 10th leader, they are all rulers of the 3rd level. As for the strongest one, it is the boss of ancient Yuan Star, a ruler of the 4th level." The robust elder answered truthfully. "Oh!" Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. He did not expect that the leader of a pirate force in the purple microgalaxy would have a 4th-level ruler. A 4th-level ruler could become the ruler of a 2nd-level astral world. With 17 leaders and a 4th-level ruler, they can even create a universe passage. Although this universe passage only covers a part of the purple microgalaxy, it's still quite impressive. Such a pirate force must have a lot of wealth after plundering and killing in the purple microgalaxy for so long. Jian Wushuang revealed a cold smile. Then he said coldly, "Take me to ancient Yuan Star's nest." The strong elder was shocked. He had vaguely guessed what Jian Wushuang was going to do. However, because of his own life, the strong elder did not dare to refuse and immediately began to lead the way. Under the guidance of the strong elder, the universe boat immediately changed direction and headed toward ancient Yuan Star's nest. Although the strong elder had used the universe passage to kill Jian Wushuang when he came from ancient Yuan Star's nest, he could only use the universe passage once. He had begged for a long time. The leaders of ancient Yuan Star who were ranked higher finally agreed. Therefore, the strong elder could not directly use the universe passage to return to ancient Yuan Star. He could only rely on the universe boat to drive all the way. After traveling for more than 30 years, the universe boat finally arrived near the old nest of ancient Yuan Star. "Sir," The old nest of ancient Yuan star is in front of us, the sturdy elder said with some fear. Have we arrived? Jian Wushuang looked over and indeed, there was a floating land in the void in front of them. The aura of many cultivators was transmitted from that land. You go in and tell the leaders of ancient Yuan star the purpose of my arrival, Jian Wushuang said. What? The robust elder was startled. Why? You don't want to go? Jian Wushuang glanced at the robust elder. Yes, of course I do. The robust elder was ecstatic. He had been staying in the universe boat before, and there was a special magic formation in the universe boat. He was greatly restricted and could not secretly communicate with them. However, now that he was outside the nest of ancient Yuan star, the ruler of universe boat actually wanted him to enter ancient Yuan star and personally report to the leaders of ancient Yuan star. The robust old man had been terrified on the universe boat for more than 30 years, because he knew that the ruler of the universe boat would kill him sooner or later. But now, the ruler of the universe boat might not have the chance to kill him once he entered the ancient Yuan star and met the leaders there. Sir, I'll inform the leaders of the ancient Yuan star immediately. The strong elder was afraid that Jian Wushuang would change his mind, so he immediately left the universe boat and rushed toward ancient Yuan star. Jian Wushuang watched the strong elder leave, but he only smiled faintly. He was not worried that the strong elder would play any tricks. After all, in front of absolute strength, any tricks were futile. Jian Wushuang continued to wait on the universe boat, but the strong elder had already entered the ancient Yuan star. Soon, the ancient Yuan star became lively. 13. What's going on? When you went out with 5th, 7th, and 10th last time, why did you suddenly disappear without a trace? A dark-skinned evil man stood in front of the strong elder. This evil man was the second leader of ancient Yuan star. The specific situation is not clear for a while. In short, Old 5, Old 7, and Old 10 are all dead. All the people who went out with us to hunt are dead. Only I survived. The person who killed them is now outside, the robust old man said in a low voice. What? The second leader was shocked. His face suddenly turned cold. Outside? Did you bring him here? Let's not worry about this for now. Quickly gather everyone, the strong old man shouted. The second leader frowned, although he still had many questions. Since he knew that the powerful enemy was already outside, he did not dare to delay. He immediately began to gather the great beings of ancient Yuan star. So. One after another, powerful energies rose. The leaders of ancient Yuan star who were staying in their lairs quickly gathered together. A large number of figures gathered in the sky above ancient Yuan star, and their gazes could clearly see the gigantic universe boat not far away from ancient Yuan star. Universe boat? The leaders of ancient Yuan star were all shocked. Under normal circumstances, ancient Yuan star would not dare to provoke a great being who owned a universe boat. But now, the other party had taken the initiative to attack them. There are only 3 people on that universe boat. The strongest one is the ruler of the universe boat. He is a second-level ruler, but his true combat power is extremely terrifying. Old 5, Old 7, and Old 10 all died at his hands. The strong old man said in a low voice, "Oh right, where is the boss?" The strong old man looked around and suddenly realized that although the leaders of ancient Yuan star had almost gathered, the strongest big leader, who was the true boss of ancient Yuan star, had not appeared. As you know, boss went into closed-door cultivation not long ago, and he told us not to disturb him unless we ran into an extremely important matter, said the second leader. Is today's matter not important? The muscular old man looked anxious. Quick, call boss over. Only she can contend against the ruler of universe boat. 13. Aren't you being a little too arrogant? You just said that the strongest person in universe boat is only a second-level ruler. Even if he could kill 5th, 7th, and 10th, it wouldn't be a big deal. Why would boss need to do it personally? Said an ugly-looking young man. He had 2 pairs of wings on his back. This young man was the 3rd leader of ancient Yuan star and had reached the peak of the 3rd level in terms of combat strength. What do you know? The strong elder was extremely anxious. But before he could continue, Jian Wushuang had already slowly walked out of Universe Boat. As Jian Wushuang appeared, the leaders of ancient Yuan Star immediately fixed their eyes on him. 13. Is this the ruler of the Universe Boat you mentioned? Indeed, judging from his aura, he is indeed a second-level ruler. Haha, is it necessary for a mere second-level ruler to make you so frightened? The third leader said with contempt. The strong elder was angry. Jian Wushuang still opened his mouth and stared at the strong elder. 13th leader, have you told the other leaders of ancient Yuan Star the purpose of my trip? Hearing this, the leaders of ancient Yuan Star all looked at the strong elder. 13th, you brought this man here. Why did he come here? The second leader asked in a deep voice. His purpose? The strong elder's face was pale. He said in a deep voice. He came to ancient Yuan Star because he wanted to use the universe passage of ancient Yuan Star to travel. Secondly, because Old 5, Old 7, and Old 10 tried to kill him. He wanted me to give him an explanation. What? The leaders of ancient Yuan Star were shocked and angry. He killed 3 leaders of ancient Yuan Star. And now he dares to come here and demand an explanation from me? How dare he? He doesn't even care about me. The leaders of ancient Yuan Star were furious. Many cold eyes stared at Jian Wushuang, and the third leader's eyes were filled with killing intent. Why? Didn't you tell them my purpose of coming here? Jian Wushuang did not take these leaders seriously at all. He was still smiling lightly. Forget it. I have no enmity with ancient Yuan Star, but you, ancient Yuan Star, actually dared to send people to rob me. You really don't know what's good for you. Ask your great leader to come out and apologize to me obediently and prepare a generous gift. Only then can you be kind. You want the great leader of my ancient Yuan Star to come out and apologize personally? And prepare a generous gift. The anger of the leaders of ancient Yuan Star grew even more. You're courting death. The third leader could not hold back and directly attacked. The 2 pairs of wings on the back of the third leader stretched out like an eagle in the sky, swooping down on Jian Wushuang and attacking him like prey. Stop! Come back! Seeing the third leader suddenly attack, the strong old man became anxious. He had seen the strength of the Universe Boat ruler with his own eyes. Although the third leader was not weak and had peak level 3 battle strength, he was nothing in front of the Universe Boat ruler. In the entire ancient Yuan Star, only their great leader could contend with the Universe Boat ruler. However, the third leader did not take his words to heart at all. His speed did not decrease, but instead, it increased explosively. A powerful killing intent burst forth from his body. No matter what, he is only a second-level ruler. How strong can he be? The third leader thought. Although he knew that the ruler of Universe Boat had killed Old 5, Old 7, and Old 10, he could still kill the 3 ordinary third-level rulers. Of course, he did not think much of Jian Wushuang. However, he did not know that Jian Wushuang did not kill the 3 leaders one by one. Instead, he killed them with 1 sword strike, together with more than 200 experts of ancient Yuan Star. If the third leader knew about this, he would not dare to attack so casually. But now, since he had already attacked, he could not retreat. Jian Wushuang glanced at the third leader. He did not even bother to use the Wuxia divine sword. With just a raise of his hand, an astonishing sword essence instantly rose. Whoosh! 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 Countless sword shadows formed out of thin air. They intersected and formed a huge sword net in the blink of an eye, directly covering the third leader. The third leader did not pay much attention to this sword net until it appeared in front of him and covered him. What? The third leader only felt that everything around him was sealed. Countless sword shadows were crazily attacking him from the sword net. He tried his best to resist. However, each of those sword shadows was so strong that they could hurt him badly. So many sword shadows were attacking him at the same time. Chi! 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 The divine body of the third leader was crushed by the sword shadows, and his life force was instantly cut off. Before he died, he did not know that he had the battle strength of a peak third-level ruler, but why was he killed in front of a second-level ruler without any chance to struggle? Shocked. All the leaders in ancient Yuan Star were shocked when they saw this scene. How is this possible? Third brother has the power of a third-level pinnacle. How could he be killed in an instant? Is he really a second-level ruler? All the leaders of ancient Yuan Star were in disbelief. Only the strong old man, he said in a low voice. I told you, only the great leader of ancient Yuan Star can fight against him. Although the ruler of this universe boat is only a second-level ruler on the surface, his power is incredible. He killed 5th brother, 7th brother, 10th brother, and more than 200 great beings of ancient Yuan Star with just one sword attack. With just one sword attack, so many people died, and I'm the only one who survived. His power is definitely at the 4th level or even stronger. One sword. The leaders of ancient Yuan Star were all stunned. They had thought that the ruler of Universe Boat had killed Old 5, Old 7, and Old 10 after a great battle, but they had not expected the truth to be like this. Quick, call the boss. Quick, ask the big leader to make a move. Besides her, no one else in ancient Yuan Star can go against the ruler of Universe Boat. The entire ancient Yuan Star was alarmed. The leaders of the ancient Yuan Star felt an unprecedented pressure. This pressure came from the void in front of them. It came from the young man who appeared to be only a second-tier ruler. While the entire ancient Yuan Star was in a state of panic, a powerful aura suddenly rose from within the ancient Yuan Star. The great leader of ancient Yuan Star had come out of seclusion. Buzz, a white-robed, snow-white-skinned beauty over 5 meters tall appeared in front of the leaders of ancient Yuan Star. Great leader! Great leader! Upon seeing her, the experts of ancient Yuan Star all bowed respectfully, including the leaders. This 5-meter-tall holy woman was the great leader of ancient Yuan Star. Although there were many leaders on ancient Yuan Star, in fact, some of the leaders who ranked lower did not have much authority in ancient Yuan Star, and they often changed their rankings. Even the leaders who ranked 2nd or 3rd sometimes changed their rankings. However, only this great leader had never changed her ranking since the creation of ancient Yuan Star. This great leader was the real leader of ancient Yuan Star, and her strength was far above the other leaders. Without a doubt, she was a ruler in the 4th level, and she had been in the 4th level for a long time. In terms of battle strength, she was very strong among the 4th level rulers. This great leader was also the reason why ancient Yuan Star was ranked in the top 10 among the star pirate forces in the purple microgalaxy. The 5-meter-tall holy woman looked cold and emotionless. She did not care about the leaders around her but looked straight at Jian Wushuang in the void. Jian Wushuang stood there quietly with a huge universe boat behind him. Although his aura was only at the level of a 2nd-level ruler, for some reason, the holy woman felt a tremendous pressure from him. Sir, you have killed 4 leaders of ancient Yuan Star. Is that enough? The holy woman stared at Jian Wushuang. She came out of seclusion after receiving a message from the 2nd leader. When she came out of seclusion, she learned about what had happened from the 2nd leader. Naturally, she also knew that Jian Wushuang had killed the 4 leaders. The holy woman also knew that Jian Wushuang had killed the 3rd leader with one sword strike. In any case, the 3rd leader had the battle strength at the peak of the 3rd level, but he did not even take out a magic weapon. He just casually killed him with a wave of his hand. Such strength! The holy woman naturally did not dare to underestimate him. She knew that he, or even a real expert, would not be weaker than her in terms of strength, and might even be stronger. Therefore, even though Jian Wushuang had killed the 4 leaders of ancient Yuan Star, the holy woman did not have the slightest intention to punish him. On the contrary, if he was willing to retreat now, she would be very happy to accept it. I didn't expect that the great leader of ancient Yuan Star was a woman. Jian Wushuang looked at the holy woman in surprise and then smiled. Your 13th leader has told you my purpose of coming here. I need you to give me a satisfactory explanation. In addition, I need to borrow the universe passage of ancient Yuan Star. The holy woman slightly raised her eyebrows. It was not a problem to borrow the universe passage, but Jian Wushuang wanted an explanation. For leaders had already died in ancient Yuan Star, but he still needed to give an explanation. If word got out, it would become a big joke in the purple microgalaxy. Don't you think you've gone too far? The 5-meter-tall holy woman said in a cold voice that echoed in the universe. Gone too far? Haha, you ancient Yuan star people know that I'm on the universe boat, but you still dare to rob me. You must have expected such consequences. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. Besides, as long as you give me a satisfactory explanation, it's already very polite that you didn't directly destroy your ancient Yuan star. In that case, as the great leader, it seems that I have to personally experience your methods. The holy woman's eyes were cold, and a cyan longsword appeared in her hand. This holy woman was obviously a sword principle cultivator. However, although she was a fourth-level ruler and the great leader of ancient Yuan star, she did not have a principal supreme treasure in her hand. The divine sword she took out was only a supreme treasure divine sword. Seeing the holy woman take out the divine sword, Jian Wushuang still looked at her with a smile. Humph! I want to see how you dare to ask me, ancient Yuan star, to give you an explanation. The holy woman let out a low shout, and the holy aura on her body suddenly soared. Buzz! A resplendent holy light rose up. The entire universe was dyed white by this holy light, and this holy woman was like a goddess who had descended from the sky. However, this goddess held a long sword in her hand, and her eyes were filled with shocking ruthlessness. She was a war goddess. The holy woman's divine body suddenly expanded. Originally, she was only 5 meters tall, but in the blink of an eye, she suddenly expanded to several hundred meters tall. The divine sword in her hand also expanded infinitely, and then she waved her jade-like hand. Whoosh! A mighty and holy sword light suddenly slashed down. The sword light seemed to be able to split the surrounding galaxy, and it was extremely powerful. Yes, this sword alone has the battle strength of the 4th level, and it is definitely not an ordinary battle strength of the 4th level. It has reached the upper level, and it should be very powerful among the advanced rulers of the 4th level. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. The holy woman was able to create a star island force like the ancient Yuan star, and she was able to survive in the purple microgalaxy for a long time. Her strength was indeed extraordinary. However, the holy woman's strength was much weaker than that of Devil Cloud Star Master, who had killed her way to the divine beginning realm. After all, although Devil Cloud Star Master had just broken through to the 4th level, he had a principal supreme treasure and had comprehended a trace of the universe principle. His battle strength was almost at the peak of the 4th level. However, even Devil Cloud Star Master, who was at his peak, could be easily killed after Jian Wushuang broke through to become a ruler. Not to mention that he now controlled the will of Heavenly Tao in the divine beginning realm. With the help of the will of Heavenly Tao, after tens of thousands of years of meditation and cultivation, his strength had long reached a new level. Take my sword. Jian Wushuang also took out the Wuxia divine sword and waved it. He did not even use the universe principles. He just used his comprehension of the universe origin of sword principle and the new power of his will. Although Jian Wushuang was only a 2nd-level ruler, his divine power was no weaker than a 3rd-level ruler because of his perfect life. In addition, the power of his will, which was granted by the universal principle, was 10 times stronger than that of a 4th-level ruler. In other words, in terms of divine power, he was the same as the holy woman. The only difference was his swordsmanship and his comprehension of the universe origin of sword principle. Whoosh! The sword light was not dazzling, but the moment the sword light flew out, a suffocating murderous aura rose out of thin air. In the eyes of the holy woman, Jian Wushuang's casual move seemed to represent the complete sword principle. The rich universe origin of sword principle filled the entire world, making the entire universe void seem to be twisted into a huge sea of sword principle. Even the sword shadow that she used was greatly affected at this moment. How is this possible? Holy woman was shocked. Her opponent's attack had not collided with her, but she still felt that her swordsmanship was falling apart. It was purely affected by the sword essence. Boom! Jian Wushuang's sword light finally swept over. In just a moment, it completely crushed the holy woman's mighty sword light. The holy light in the surroundings immediately dimmed. The holy woman's divine body returned to 5 meters tall, and she was forced to retreat backward. Took her a great deal of effort to regain her balance. The holy woman's eyes were filled with astonishment. What a terrifying, terrifying sword! His divine power is almost the same, and his sword is not a world-shaking sword skill. However, the sword essence contained in his sword skill is incredible. How could the sword essence directly affect my sword skill? His understanding of sword principle is incredible. His understanding of the universe origin of sword principle is far better than mine. It's even better than all the experts of sword principle that I've fought before. It's too terrifying. Holy woman! The holy woman stared at Jian Wushuang in horror. They were both experts in sword principle. When the holy woman had just fought with Jian Wushuang, she had already seen the unbridgeable gap between her and his understanding of sword principle. According to her estimation, although the master of the universe boat was only a second-level master, his comprehension of sword principle far exceeded that of a fourth-level master. Perhaps even among the fifth-level masters, there were few who could match up to him. His understanding of sword principle origin was too high. Sir, this matter is all my fault. I, Ancient Yuan Star, am willing to give you an explanation and pay a price to appease your anger, the holy woman quickly said. As soon as she said this, Ancient Yuan Star was instantly shocked and in an uproar. However, everyone immediately felt relieved. The experts of Ancient Yuan Star were not fools. They had seen the scene just now. It was obvious that their great leader was also no match for him. In fact, the other party was much stronger than their great leader. They were on two completely different levels. Such an expert was not someone that Ancient Yuan Star could afford to provoke. Hence, at this moment, they could not care less about their reputation. Instead, they had to think of ways to appease the other party's anger. Otherwise, the other party alone could directly wipe out their Ancient Yuan Star. If this had happened earlier, there would have been no need to go through so much trouble. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and put the Wuxia divine sword back into his interspatial ring. The holy woman felt bitter in her heart. Although she knew that Jian Wushuang was not weak since he dared to come to her directly, she did not expect him to be so ridiculously strong. He was only a second-level ruler, but he was so strong that even she, a fourth-level ruler, could not resist him. She did not know Jian Wushuang's real strength before, so she did not want to bow her head so easily. But now that she knew his strength, she had to compromise. Sir, what can I do to satisfy you? The holy woman asked directly. It's simple. Take out 100 universe origin stones as an apology, and we'll let this matter go, Jian Wushuang said directly. 100 universe origin stones? The holy woman stared at him. The leaders of Ancient Yuan Star were also shocked. What? Ancient Yuan Star has been in the purple microgalaxy for so many years and has robbed many experts along the way. He must have accumulated a lot of wealth over the years. Why can't Ancient Yuan Star take out 100 universe origin stones? Jian Wushuang said indifferently. The holy woman's face was a little ugly. 100 universe origin stones was more than the total wealth of most fourth-level rulers. Even some of the poorer fifth-level rulers only had around 100 universe origin stones. Although Ancient Yuan Star was a pirate force and had accumulated a lot of wealth over the years in the purple microgalaxy, it was estimated that the total wealth was only a little more than 100 universe origin stones. Now, Jian Wushuang asked for 100 universe origin stones. Even if Ancient Yuan Star could afford it, it would be a great loss. 100 universe origin stones, no problem, the holy woman suddenly said, with a hint of determination in her eyes. The holy woman was able to create Ancient Yuan Star by herself not only because she was very strong, but also because she had a lot of courage. 100 universe origin stones was indeed a great loss to the entire Ancient Yuan Star, but it was not a price that she could not afford. The holy woman pondered for a moment. She knew which was more important, 100 universe origin stones or enduring the anger of the universe boat ruler in front of her. I also need to borrow the universe passage of your Ancient Yuan Star, Jian Wushuang said again. That's even less of a problem, the holy woman agreed readily. Well, do these two things well. I won't pursue the matter of your Ancient Yuan Star offending me, but those who offend me will die, Jian Wushuang said coldly. No problem. The holy woman nodded again, but her eyes directly looked at the burly elder among the experts of Ancient Yuan Star. The other leaders of ancient Yuan Star also looked at the burly elder. The eyes are extremely cold, and even some gnashing of teeth taste. They all knew that it was this brawny old man who recklessly provoked the other party that brought this great disaster to ancient Yuan Star. Not only causing ancient Yuan Star to lose several leaders, also let the ancient Yuan Star had to pay the price of 100 cosmic source stones to be able to appease the other side's anger. This robust elder really deserved to die. No, no! Great leader! Save me! Save me! At this moment, the robust elder was extremely crazy. He thought that as long as he returned to ancient Yuan Star, with the experts of ancient Yuan Star and the great leader personally making a move, Jian Wushuang would not be able to kill him. But now, yes, all the experts of ancient Yuan Star had made a move, including the great leader of the 4th level. But in the end, he was suppressed by the other party alone. Now, the other party had to suppress ancient Yuan Star by himself. If she wanted to kill him now, ancient Yuan Star could not stop her at all. Humph! The holy woman made a cold snort. She directly displayed her swordsmanship. The strong elder was only at the peak of the 2nd level, so he could not resist the holy woman at all. He was killed in a flash. Sir, the person who offended you has been executed, the holy woman said. That's right. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Take me to the universe passage of your ancient Yuan Star. Get the other 100 universe origin stones ready. Of course. The holy woman nodded. After only an hour, ancient Yuan Star handed an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang. There were only a few universe origin stones in the interspatial ring. Most of them were universe crystals, as well as various resources and treasures. All of them added together were worth 100 universe origin stones. After taking the interspatial ring, ancient Yuan Star opened another universe passage. This universe passage led to the galaxy near the air demon star field. Ancient Yuan Star, there's no need to send me off. Jian Wushuang smiled and led his wife and Devil Flame into the universe passage. The leaders of ancient Yuan Star were very respectful on the surface, but secretly, they gritted their teeth and were helpless. It was not until Jian Wushuang completely disappeared in the universe passage that the experts of ancient Yuan Star heaved a sigh of relief. This guy has finally left. I, ancient Yuan Star, am one of the top 10-star island forces in this galaxy. However, I was suppressed by this guy alone and had to bow my head to apologize. Moreover, he is only a 2nd-level ruler. If this news spreads, I, ancient Yuan Star, will become a joke. That's true. However, although this person is only a 2nd-level ruler, his combat strength is truly terrifying. The experts of ancient Yuan Star were all discussing. Enough, all of you shut up. A cold snort suddenly sounded. That holy woman's gaze was ice-cold as she surveyed her surroundings. The experts of ancient Yuan Star were so frightened that they did not dare to make a sound. The saintly woman said in a low voice, "This time I, ancient Yuan Star, have suffered a great loss. Not only did I lose several leaders, but I also paid the price of 100 cosmic origin stones. It can definitely be considered to be a bone-breaking injury. Fortunately, this person didn't further oppress me. I, ancient Yuan Star, have lost quite a lot this time, but my foundation is still intact. I can still think of ways to make up for these losses in the future. But there is one thing you must remember. In the future, when you hunt in the Milky Way, you must be clear about the target. Keep your eyes open and don't provoke people you can't afford to provoke." Like this time, the other party was clearly riding on Universe Boat, and he was already destined to be extraordinary. Yet I, ancient Yuan Star, still provoked him. This is extremely stupid. I hope that such a thing won't happen again in the future. Do you all understand? The saintly woman scanned the surroundings coldly. Yes. The leaders of ancient Yuan Star all lowered their heads in fear, not daring to look directly into the saintly woman's eyes. With the help of the universe passage of the ancient Yuan Star, Jian Wushuang arrived at the galaxy near the Devil Star Field. However, the Devil Star Field was not Jian Wushuang's destination. He still had to continue to travel along the galaxy. The huge universe boat continued to shuttle through the galaxy. Inside the universe boat, "Husband, You are becoming more and more powerful. The great leader of ancient Yuan Star was a 4th-level ruler, and he was not weak in the 4th level. But you still defeated her with only 1 sword strike. And if I'm not wrong, you didn't use your real strength, did you? Leng Rushuang looked at Jian Wushuang with interest. As Jian Wushuang's aura, she had some understanding of his strength and trump cards. Jian Wushuang had comprehended the principles of the universe, and his comprehension was very high. However, when he fought with the great leader of ancient Yuan Star, Jian Wushuang did not use the principles of the universe. Master's strength is indeed getting stronger and stronger. Even if I fight with the great leader of ancient Yuan Star, I'm not absolutely sure that I can win. But in front of Master, I'm not qualified to resist at all, Devil Flame said. Haha, don't praise me too much. I'm going to lose my mind, Jian Wushuang said with a chuckle. Devil Flame, you've only recovered about 20% of your divine body. Your battle strength is indeed at the level of a 4th-level ruler. But when we get to the purple micro-star field, I'll go to the 9 Emperor Pavilion and buy some special crystals for you to recover your divine body. When your divine body has recovered to about 30%, I'm afraid that your strength is not weaker than mine, or even better than mine. Although Jian Wushuang had the 9 Emperor Pavilion in his hometown, the star field he was in was too remote. Even in the nearby star field, there were very few high-level crystals. It was too expensive to buy crystals from a star field that was too far away. Therefore, Jian Wushuang only spent 20% of his resources to restore his divine body to the Devil Flame. The battle strength that the Devil Flame could unleash was the same as when he fought against the Devil Cloud Star ruler. However, if he went to the purple micro-star field, it was a medium-sized star field after all. It had more resources and treasures, and they were of higher quality. Jian Wushuang should be able to restore 30% of the divine body of the Devil Flame there, as long as he paid a certain price. This was the real reason why Jian Wushuang forced ancient Yuan Star to hand over 100 Universe Origin Stones to make amends. He had no choice. He was poor. He needed Universe Origin Stones not only to cultivate but also to restore the divine body of the Devil Flame. He also needed a large number of Universe Origin Stones. However, my strength has improved a lot over the years. Even I don't know what level my real strength has reached. After all, the strongest ones I've met before were only at the level of Star Demon Ancestor and Devil Cloud Star Ruler. Now that I've finally met the great leader of ancient Yuan Star, who also has the battle strength of a 4th-level ruler, it's obvious that experts at this level are no longer a challenge to me. If I have the chance, I would like to fight with a real expert. I would like to know how strong I am now, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. He only had a rough estimate of his strength, but he could not be sure how strong he was without fighting with a real expert. Therefore, he really wanted to meet some experts and fight with them. For him, the one who could be called an expert and qualified to fight with him was at least a ruler at the peak of the 4th level. The universe boat continued to fly in the galaxy. Along the way, he would meet many teams and the space pirates who were trying to kill them. However, there was no doubt that these space pirates did not dare to rob or even block the way when they saw Jian Wushuang's universe boat. Time passed, and in a flash, the universe boat continued to sail in the galaxy for more than 500 years. During these 500 years, Jian Wushuang had been unimpeded. No space pirates dared to block his way, nor did he encounter any unnecessary trouble. On this day, universe boat sailed past a corner of the galaxy. In this corner, there was a team of no less than 100 people from Star Island. The moment they saw universe boat, they were so frightened that they immediately retreated to the surrounding void space. They did not dare to block universe boat's way. Universe boat did not stop at all. It soon disappeared from the sight of this team. However, among the team of 100 people from Star Island, there was an unremarkable ruler who suddenly widened his eyes. This universe boat? I've seen it before. Blue River? What are you talking about? A man in green armor looked over. Devil Cloud Star Ruler. It's the universe boat owned by Devil Cloud Star Ruler. The ruler named Blue River exclaimed. In the vast universe, there were many universe boats that looked very similar. Some of them were even standard universe boats, and there were many of them that looked exactly the same. Therefore, if one just looked at them through the mirror image, it would be impossible to tell which universe boat this universe boat belonged to. However, this Blue River ruler came from the star domain where Devil Cloud Star was located, and he had seen Devil Cloud Star ruler display his godly power with his own eyes. He had even taken out this universe boat. Not only did it look exactly the same, even the energy of the arrays on the universe boat were identical. It was precisely because of this that Blue River ruler was able to recognize this universe boat with a single glance. Devil Cloud Star ruler's universe boat? The green armored man next to him frowned. Why? Do you know the owner of this universe boat? Yes. Blue River ruler nodded heavily. This universe boat used to belong to a second-level star sector ruler, Devil Cloud Star ruler. Devil Cloud Star ruler is a third-level pinnacle ruler, and his combat power is quite impressive. Not long ago, a good friend of mine from the star domain where Devil Cloud Star is located contacted me and told me that this Devil Cloud Star ruler is dead. He went to attack a small, unrated star domain, but the great being from that star domain counterattacked and killed him with special methods. His universe boat seems to have fallen into the hands of a great being from that unrated star domain. Oh, the green armored man's expression changed. Are you saying that the owner of this universe boat that just passed by us came from a small, unrated star field? Yes. Ruler Blue River nodded heavily. Are you sure? The green armored man asked. Of course I'm sure. Ruler Blue River was absolutely certain. That's interesting. The green armored man narrowed his eyes. A universe domain that isn't even a top-tier universe domain, and its supreme rulers are only at the third level at most, right? They might even be at the second level, yet they own a universe boat. There were countless pirate forces in the purple microgalaxy, and some of them were strong and some were weak. For example, Ancient Yuan Star was recognized as one of the top 10 star island forces in the purple microgalaxy. However, although Ancient Yuan Star was not weak compared to those star island forces that could be ranked in the top 5 or even the top 3, he was much weaker. The Nihility Star was widely recognized as one of the top 3 star island forces in the entire purple microgalaxy. It was even faintly ranked first among the many star island forces in the purple microgalaxy. The territory that the Nihility Star occupied in the purple microgalaxy was much larger than Ancient Yuan Stars. Ancient Yuan Star had a total of 17 leaders. Their strength ranged from high to low, and these leaders often changed. As for the Nihility Star, from its creation until now, there had only been 3 leaders. These 3 leaders were all powerful 4th-level rulers, especially the first leader, Emochen, who had been famous for a long time many years ago. He had already been regarded as the #1 expert of the purple microstar field. In terms of power, this first leader of the Nihility Star was definitely an extremely powerful 4th-level ruler. Within the towering palace, the 3 leaders of the Nihility Star were all gathered together. You said that Universe Boat came from an unrated small star field? The first leader of the Nihility Star, Chief Ruler Emochun, looked down at the 2 kneeling people. Those 2 were the green armored man who had seen the Universe Boat earlier, and Chief Ruler Blue River. It was Blue River who said it, the green armored man said. Leader, I can confirm that the Universe Boat belonged to Devil Cloud Star Master, and Devil Cloud Star Master did die in a small starfield. On the way back, I asked my good friends in Devil Cloud Star and they confirmed it, Blue River Ruler said. Hearing Blue River Ruler's confirmation, the 3 leaders of Nihility Star looked at each other. The second leader said in a low voice, Ordinary Supreme Masters are only second-level rulers in a starfield that doesn't even have a name. Very few might have a third-level ruler. And this Universe Boat, since it comes from a starfield that doesn't belong to the shooting star field, I'm afraid that the people on the Universe Boat aren't very powerful. That's true, the third leader said. But the other party was able to kill Devil Cloud Star Master. Although he used some special methods or trump cards, who knows if he still has those methods and trump cards. Blue River, tell us about the Devil Cloud Star Master's actual strength and how he was killed. Have you figured it out? The first leader, Ruler Emochen, looked down. 3 leaders, my good friend is a ruler under the command of the Devil Cloud Star Master. 40,000 years ago, when the Devil Cloud Star Master led his army to that non-entering meteor field, my good friend did not follow them. Instead, he stayed in the Devil Cloud Star. Therefore, he does not know much about the specific situation. However, one thing is certain. There are indeed no experts in that star field. It is only because there are a few battlefields left behind that it appears somewhat special. As for Devil Cloud Star Master, he was originally only at the pinnacle of the 3rd level. However, when he went to that non-flowing star field, he seemed to have already broken through and reached the 4th level. The great beings in that non-flowing star field must have spent a tremendous amount of resources and methods. In addition, Devil Cloud Star Master himself had underestimated the enemy, which was why he died there. After his death, that universe boat seemed to have fallen into the hands of the supreme master of that star field, a 2nd-level ruler, said Blue River Ruler solemnly. After listening to Blue River Ruler's explanation, the 3 leaders' eyes lit up. A 2nd-level ruler, even if he has some trump cards, at most he can threaten an ordinary 4th-level ruler. That Devil Cloud Star Master only just broke through and was careless enough to be killed by him. But the 3 of us are different from that Devil Cloud Star Master. The 2nd leader smiled. The 3 of them had not just broken through to the 4th stage ruler realm, but had spent a very long period of time in the 4th stage. The 2nd and 3rd leaders were both high-level 4th stage rulers, while the strongest 1st leader was definitely at the peak of the 4th stage. With such power, they naturally had sufficient capital. Big brother, are we going to do this deal or not? The 2nd and 3rd leaders both looked toward Ruler Imo-chan. Of course. Ruler Imo-chan laughed as well. That is a complete universe boat. Even the lowest level universe boat is worth 60 universe origin stones. It is already worth the 3 of us personally making a move. Big brother, you are going to personally make a move as well? The 2nd leader revealed a look of surprise. In his opinion, the other party was merely a lucky 2nd-level ruler. Any one of the 3 of them could easily kill the other party and take back the universe boat. Why would the 3 of them need to act at the same time? There's nothing wrong with being careful. Perhaps that universe boatmaster is really just a 2nd-level ruler. We can easily kill him. But what if that universe boatmaster isn't as powerful as he is? Then when the 3 of us join forces, as long as we don't encounter a 5th-level ruler or a terrifying existence like Mr. Joshu, at the very least we'll be able to protect ourselves, said Ruler Imo-chan. Yes, that's true. The 2nd and 3rd leaders nodded. The reason why the 3 leaders of the Nihility Star were able to live well in the purple microgalaxy was not only because they were extremely powerful, but also because they were very cautious and would not take risks easily. Even though they knew that the other party came from a non-entering meteor field and that he was probably only a 2nd-level ruler, they still decided to move out at the same time to be safe. Soon, the 3 leaders of the Nihility Star set off. The Nihility Star had countless pirates under its command, but this time, the 3 leaders only brought a part of the stronger rulers, which added up to less than 20 people. They directly used the universe channel. Even the ancient Yuan star had a universe channel, but the Nihility Star, which was much stronger than the ancient Yuan star, had more and more perfect universe channels. Through the universal channel, they had long arrived in front of Jian Wushuang. In the beautiful galaxy, the ancient universe boat continued to drive. In the universe boat, Jian Wushuang and his wife were playing chess, while Devil Flame stood aside and watched quietly. But suddenly, Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Devil Flame suddenly raised his head. They had already sensed that many experts were approaching at an extremely fast speed. I thought that other than ancient Yuan star, no one else would be so blind as to look for trouble with us. But now it seems that's not the case. Jian Wushuang sighed lightly. He did not expect that someone would come to find trouble with him even though he was on the universe boat. Universe boat had stopped, and more than 10 experts from the Nihility Star had also appeared in front of universe boat. Inside the boat. Husband. The people who came to our door this time seem to be very strong. Lung Rushuang frowned slightly. Yes, they are very strong. Jian Wushuang also nodded slightly. Although the other party had not taken the initiative to reveal his aura, with his sensing ability, he could more or less sense a lot of things. Ruler, should I do it? Devil Flame asked. No, you two just stay in the universe boat. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, but he had already walked out of the boat. Jian Wushuang came to the universe boat and looked at the more than 10 figures in front of him. The people of the Void Star were also staring at Jian Wushuang. He is really a second-level ruler? The 3 leaders of the Void Star all laughed when they saw Jian Wushuang. Brother, it seems that your worries were unnecessary, the 3rd leader said with a smile. Be careful, it can't be wrong, Ruler Emochan said with a smile. You are the owner of this universe boat? Ruler Emochan stared at Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Why are you blocking my way? Humph, Devil Cloud Star Master is a 2nd-level Star World ruler and a 4th-level ruler. How could he be defeated by someone like you? The 2nd leader of the Nihility Star sneered. Devil Cloud Star Master? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. Obviously, Devil Cloud Star Master recognized his universe boat, which belonged to Devil Cloud Star Master. The purple microgalaxy is not too far from the star field where Devil Cloud Star is located, and Devil Cloud Star Master is very famous in that star field. All the experts who came from that star field probably know him. It's normal for an expert from that star field to become a space pirate in the purple microgalaxy. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Boy, Ruler Emochan said. Leave the universe boat and you can go. Oh, Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Ruler Emochan did not kill him. He was more merciful than ancient Yuan Star. What if I don't agree? Jian Wushuang said with a teasing smile. If you don't agree, you can only die. Ruler Emochan's eyes turned cold. Kill him. As soon as he finished his words, several experts from the Void Star around him could not hold themselves back anymore and attacked him. There were 5 people who chose to attack. All of them were rulers of the 3rd level, and 2 of them had even reached the peak of the 3rd level. 5 rulers of the 3rd level attacked at the same time to deal with a ruler of the 2nd level. In the eyes of the experts from the Void Star, Jian Wushuang was already a dead man. But suddenly, Jian Wushuang attacked. He did not take out the Wuxia divine sword. He just waved his finger as a sword casually. In an instant, an extremely terrifying sword essence rose up. The entire galaxy was swept into this shocking sword essence storm. What? The 5 third-level rulers were shocked. They only felt that the sword essence storm they were trapped in was endless and extremely terrifying. The storm of sword shadows crushed the 5 of them as easily as crushing dried twigs. Their godly bodies collapsed, and their lives were instantly cut off. Just a casual sword attack had killed 5 third-level rulers. This scene shocked many experts from the Void Star, including the 3 leaders. What a terrifying sword intent. This man's comprehension of the origin of the universe of sword principle has definitely reached an extremely high level. The eyes of the 3 leaders became solemn. It seems that it was not just an accident that he was able to kill Devil Cloud Star Master. Ruler Mo Chen's voice also became much deeper. The 2nd and 3rd leaders also had a trace of solemnity on their faces. They were not fools. Although they did not think much of Jian Wushuang, who was only at the 2nd level and came from the non-entering meteor field, the strength that Jian Wushuang displayed at this moment. They had no choice but to be solemn. Without a doubt, Jian Wushuang's battle strength was at least at the 4th level. 2nd brother, 3rd brother, you 2 attack together. Be careful, Ruler Emochan said in a low voice. The 2nd and 3rd leaders both nodded, and then 2 strong divine power auras rose. The 2nd leader directly turned into a huge black exotic beast. The black exotic beast was extremely ferocious, and its body emitted an endless brutal aura. In an instant, it rushed toward Jian Wushuang like a black lightning. As for the 3rd leader, he took out a broad-bladed broadsword, which was 3 meters long. As his body expanded, the 3-meter-long broadsword also expanded and then came crashing down. When the 2 leaders attacked at the same time, the power alone was enough to make people scared. In the universe boat, Devil Flame had been watching the scene outside, but when he saw the 2 leaders attack, his pupils shrank. These 2 are very strong. I may not be a match for them in a one-on-one fight, Devil Flame said solemnly. What? Lung Rushuang's expression changed. Then husband, don't worry, madam. These 2 may be very strong, but they are not strong enough in front of ruler. Devil Flame smiled. Others did not know Jian Wushuang's actual strength, but Devil Flame did. He was very clear that Jian Wushuang's current combat strength was extremely strong. It was not something an ordinary fourth-level ruler could compare to. Jian Wushuang stood in front of the universe boat and watched the two leaders attack him. His expression was very strange. These two people clearly have the battle strength of fourth-level rulers, and they are probably at the advanced level. They are probably slightly stronger than the great leader of ancient Yuan Star whom I met before. Just these two people have such strength, and the strongest one doesn't seem to have made a move yet. TSK, the Star Island forces in the purple microgalaxy are quite strong. One force actually has 3 fourth-level rulers at the same time. Jian Wushuang praised. However, with a flip of his palm, the Wuxia divine sword appeared in his hand. In the Star River, Jian Wushuang directly fought with the two leaders. Whoosh! A brilliant sword light appeared out of thin air. This sword light was even more dazzling than the surrounding Star River, and it was huge and boundless. After it appeared, it instantly filled half of the surrounding Star River, and in the blink of an eye, it collided with the black exotic beast, as well as the vast and mighty sword light that was slashing down. Bang! Clang! 2 sounds of collision rang out in the galaxy. The black exotic beast that the second leader had transformed into rolled backward after colliding with the sword light. As for the mighty sword light that the third leader had displayed, it also dissipated, and the power on the surface of the third leader's body was greatly suppressed. You two are too weak. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with disdain, but he slashed out with the Wuxia divine sword again. It was still a casual slash. However, in an instant, a shocking sword shadow that seemed to be able to split the galaxy in half hung out. This shocking sword shadow emitted a suffocating and terrifying power. Even though the second and third leaders of the Void Star were both fourth-level rulers, their expressions changed when they saw this sword shadow. Not good. The great leader of the Void Star, Ruler Emo-chan, who had been standing outside the battlefield, was also shocked and immediately attacked. Whoosh! A sudden explosion was heard in the starry river. A human figure descended from the sky like a peerless war god from the universe. He held a giant axe in one hand and instantly slashed down as if he was splitting the sky and earth. The same shocking axe instantly collided with the sword light that Jian Wushuang had swung out. The two terrifying forces collided with each other, causing the surrounding vast galaxy to tremble violently. The brilliant galaxy seemed to have lost its color under the collision of the two forces. After a while, the power was completely exhausted. Jian Wushuang was still standing in front of the universe boat calmly. In front of him, the 3 leaders of the Void Star were standing side by side. The 3 leaders no longer looked down on him. On the contrary, their expressions were extremely grave. "This man is very strong," the second leader said in a low voice. "Indeed, if only second brother and I joined hands, we would not be his match," the third leader also said. "I used almost all of my strength in that attack, but I didn't gain the upper hand in the clash with his sword light. Only a ruler at the peak of the 4th level could have such strength," Ruler Emo-chan said. Ruler Emo-chan himself was a ruler at the peak of the 4th level. However, Jian Wushuang was not at a disadvantage in a head-on confrontation with him. His battle strength was naturally at the peak of the 4th level. Finally, someone who can stand out is here. Jian Wushuang looked at the 3 people in front of him with a faint smile. "Big brother, this kid is not weak. The 3 of us working together might be able to kill him," the second leader said directly. "Then let's attack together." Ruler Emo-chan's eyes were cold. In the next moment, buzz! A vast and surging dark air current swept out directly. This dark air current was cold, dark, and despairing. As the dark air current swept out, the brilliant galaxy was covered in endless darkness. Endless dark air current filled the surrounding void. In the center of the dark air current, Ruler Emo-chan was the supreme god who controlled the endless darkness. Whoosh! 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 Ruler Emo-chan attacked directly. He held a giant axe in each hand. The 2 giant axes were both dark and cold. In the endless dark void, one after another, ice-cold axe shadows flashed and slashed toward Jian Wushuang. They were extremely fast, Moreover, each of the axe shadows was extremely powerful. Even Jian Wushuang did not dare to underestimate them. Interesting. Jian Wushuang smiled and waved the Wuxia divine sword in his hand. He also slashed out sword lights that contained the profound universe origin of sword principle, easily blocking the axe shadows. Around them, the second and third leaders were not idle either. The second leader transformed into a black exotic beast, which emitted a monstrous evil aura and directly merged into the dark void. Even with Jian Wushuang's soul power, they could not even feel his presence. Under the cover of the dark void, the second leader would strike from time to time with a fatal blow. As for the third leader, his strength had also increased to a certain extent under the dark void. His figure soared like a heavenly demon descending into the world, and he directly slashed out with his huge saber. The three leaders of the Void Temple, the three rulers of the fourth level, all used their full strength at this moment. Naturally, their goal was to kill Jian Wushuang. It had to be said that the three leaders were indeed very strong, and they cooperated very well. When the three of them joined hands, they could completely suppress an ordinary ruler of the peak of the fourth level. Now, when the three of them joined hands and went all out, Jian Wushuang seemed to have been completely suppressed by the three of them. In the boundless dark void, Jian Wushuang just kept using his swordsmanship to resist the attacks around him. It seemed that he was completely trapped in the frenzied attacks of the three leaders. After a while, Jian Wushuang shook his head and looked disappointed. "Is this the extent of your combined strength? What?" The three leaders of the Void Temple were shocked. It was indeed their strongest strength, but the ruler of Universe Boat seemed to be very dissatisfied with their strength. "With such strength, you are barely qualified for me to use my sword skills," Jian Wushuang said coldly. "Use your sword skills?" The three leaders were stunned. They realized that from the beginning until now, the other party had only casually waved his sword and attacked casually. However, the other party had never used any powerful sword skills or ultimate moves. After all, the three leaders could tell that although the Universe Boat ruler's realm was low, his divine power was no weaker than that of a fourth-level ruler. The point was that his comprehension of the origin of the universe of sword principle was too high. With such a high comprehension of the origin of the universe of sword principle, how could he not create powerful sword techniques or ultimate moves? If I'm not wrong, the three of you have more or less improved your strength under the dark void. Moreover, the cooperation of the three of you depends on the dark void to a large extent, right? Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold. Looking at the three people in front of him, he said, "In that case, I'll break the dark void. And my sword is called Splitting the Sky." Jian Wushuang's voice slowly sounded in the dark void. He raised the Wuxia divine sword in his right hand, and a terrifying power began to gather in his divine sword. It had been more than 40,000 years since the end of the war with Devil Cloud Star. Jian Wushuang had been improving at a ridiculously fast speed because he had rulered the will of heavenly Tao in the divine beginning world. His understanding of sword principle had reached an extremely high level. Naturally, he had also studied swordsmanship. Over the years, he had created many different types of swordsmanship. Any one of them was enough to amaze the fourth-level ruler. Now, Jian Wushuang's first move of heaven opening had already surpassed the level of the fourth-level ruler in terms of profundity. This sword move was a terrifying swordsmanship that used force to crush people and tear everything apart. Under the infusion of Jian Wushuang's enormous divine power, this sword move became even more terrifying. Whoosh! Finally, this sword move was unleashed. In an instant, the world became completely silent. The three leaders of the Void Temple stared with their eyes wide open. They finally understood why Jian Wushuang had never displayed his true sword skill. It turned out that his sword skill was too powerful and terrifying. If he had used his sword skill earlier, the three of them would have fled in fear. But now, the endless black airflow was cut off. The void, which was originally in endless darkness, seemed to have been recreated by living beings, dividing the day and night. This endless dark void was directly cut open. Terrifying sword intent swept out, and even the three great leaders were affected. The strongest great leader was still fine. With his own strength, he was able to easily block this power that was affected. However, the two leaders were unusually miserable under the impact of this sword intent. It was not easy for them to forcefully stop their bodies, and their bodies had already suffered a certain degree of damage under the impact of this sword intent. This is on a completely different level, the second leader said, his face filled with terror. The power of his godly power is comparable, but his sword technique is simply too terrifying, the third leader added. This sword technique is something that even many fifth-level rulers who specialize in the Tao of the sword might not be able to compare to. With such a sword technique in hand, his combat power is definitely one of the most terrifying and top-tier fourth-level rulers. With just the three of us, let alone killing him, it would be extremely difficult for us to fight him head-on. Ruler Mo Chen's gaze was cold. Don't think about Universe Boat anymore. Let's go. Retreat. The second and third leaders did not hesitate. That sword attack had indeed scared them. However, just as they were about to move, "Come and go as you please? How can it be so easy?" Jian Wushuang chuckled and waved the divine sword in his hand again. In an instant, a hazy fog swept out. The speed of the fog was extremely fast. At least, it was much faster than the three leaders' fleeing speed. In an instant, the fog had completely covered the three leaders. After being covered by the fog, the three leaders immediately felt a terrifying sword essence from the surrounding fog, which made their hearts tremble. At the same time, it also carried a special magic formation power. A formation with sword essence? Is this a sword formation? Ruler Mo Chen's pupils constricted. Yes, it was a sword formation. No matter how many sword techniques Jian Wushuang had created over the years, and how powerful they were, it did not matter. The first move of splitting the heavens just now, in terms of level and profundity, was already comparable to the most powerful move of many fifth-level rulers. However, the first move of splitting the heavens was not Jian Wushuang's strongest sword technique. Jian Wushuang's strongest and most terrifying sword formation was the three sword formations he created: the hazy sword formation, the wave-light sword formation, and the earth protection sword formation, one for attacking, one for trapping and entangling, and one for absolute defense. These three sword formations formed the most complete sword formation system. Over the years, while Jian Wushuang improved his comprehension of sword principle and created all kinds of sword skills, he never fell behind in his research of the three sword formations. After 40,000 years, the three sword formations had reached a new level. Now that the hazy fog had swept out, what Jian Wushuang displayed was the most terrifying of the three sword formations, the hazy sword formation. Since you're here, don't think of leaving so easily without paying a price. Jian Wushuang smiled. The hazy sword formation had already displayed its terrifying power. Within the hazy fog, terrifying sword lights attacked the three leaders of the Nihility Star without any warning. Although the three leaders were all powerful, it was difficult for them to resist the sudden sword light because of the fog. It was only a single exchange. Chi! Chi! The second and third leaders were struck by the sword light at the same time. Although they did not die immediately, their divine bodies instantly collapsed, and more than half of their divine power was consumed. No! No! After the second and third leaders recovered their divine bodies, they were both completely terrified. Second brother, third brother. Ruler Mo Chen's face turned pale with fright. He was the most powerful of them all. Although his body had been damaged by the sword light, he had not directly collapsed. However, the second and third leaders were clearly unable to block it. Yet another wave of sword light swept over. Big brother, run! Run! A hysterical howl rang out from the second leader's mouth. The second leader was completely drowned out by the sword light, and without the slightest chance of struggle, he died on the spot. As for the third leader, he had similarly followed in the footsteps of the second leader. When Ruler Mo Chan saw this scene, he instantly felt as if his eyes were about to explode. However, no matter how furious and crazed he was, he knew that the other party's strength was simply not something he could contend against. Even he himself was barely able to survive in this sword formation. There was no way for him to save the lives of the second and third leaders. He could only watch as these two great leaders died in front of him. After all, the three leaders of the Void Temple had existed since the establishment of the Void Temple. Their relationship was incomparable. But now, the two leaders had died in an accident. Even he was on the verge of death. Ah! With a furious roar, the desperate ruler Emo-chun suddenly turned scarlet. A terrifying aura swept out from his body. His strength and speed had reached a whole new level at this moment. His strength and speed had reached a whole new level. This sudden change made Jian Wushuang slightly surprised. But before he could make a move, the scarlet-red ruler Emo-chun had already rushed out of the range of the sword formation and fled frantically toward the surrounding galaxies. His speed was so fast that even Jian Wushuang did not have the slightest desire to chase after him. He ran away so fast. Jian Wushuang was surprised when he saw ruler Emo-chun disappear from his sight. It was obvious that ruler Emo-chun had used his life-saving trump card, which was very powerful. Even Jian Wushuang had let him escape easily. However, killing two fourth-level rulers is not bad. Jian Wushuang smiled. With a wave of his hand, the treasures and interspatial rings left by the two leaders of the Void Temple came to him. Jian Wushuang counted them slightly, and his eyes lit up. Not bad, as expected of a fourth-level ruler, and a pirate leader who has been plundering in the purple microgalaxy all year round. Although he doesn't have any nomological treasures, his wealth is quite impressive. The total wealth of these two people is probably equivalent to 150 universe origin stones. Jian Wushuang smiled. Previously, he had suppressed ancient Yuan Star with his own strength and only obtained 100 universe origin stones. This was on the premise that ancient Yuan Star was severely injured. But now, the space pirates who came to kill him were obviously more powerful than ancient Yuan Star, so their wealth was naturally thicker. After collecting the treasures, Jian Wushuang returned to the universe boat. As for the space pirates who came at the same time as the three leaders, they were scared and fled in all directions. Jian Wushuang was too lazy to chase after them soon. The universe boat continued to move forward. In the void far away from the battlefield, a scarlet blood light suddenly stopped, and a figure slowly emerged. This figure was, of course, ruler Emo-chun, who had just escaped from Jian Wushuang's hands. As the great leader of the Void Star and a ruler at the peak of the fourth level, ruler Emo-chun had been able to do whatever he wanted in the purple microgalaxy for a long time. But today, second brother, third brother, ruler Emo-chun's expression was terrifyingly dark. His icy cold eyes were filled with hatred. The three great leaders of the Nihility Star were brothers who had walked through life and death together. Later on, the three of them had joined hands to create the Nihility Star. In terms of feelings, they were no less than brothers. However, today his second and third brothers had been killed right in front of him. He had witnessed the whole process, but he could not do anything about it. Even he had to use his life-saving secret skill to survive. So powerful! That man is only a second-level ruler, but he is ridiculously powerful. Not only is his divine power as powerful as a fourth-level ruler, but his understanding of the origin of sword principle and his terrifying swordsmanship, especially the sword formation he used at the end. The scene of Jian Wushuang using the hazy sword formation immediately appeared in ruler Emo-chun's mind. As soon as the sword formation appeared, the hazy sword light suddenly attacked from every corner. It was incredibly fast, and the most important thing was that it was ridiculously powerful. That sword formation is too terrifying. Against such a sword formation, even if I'm several times stronger, I won't have a chance to survive. Ruler Emo-chun's face was distorted. The difference in strength is too great. Even if he killed my second and third brothers, I won't be able to take revenge. There was no doubt that ruler Emo-chun wanted to avenge his two brothers. However, Jian Wushuang's strength made him despair. It was impossible for him to take revenge on his own, at least not now. Jian Wushuang was riding on the universe boat and flying in the galaxy. It was obvious that he was just passing by the purple microgalaxy. Moreover, his opponent was at the second level, so his talent and potential were far stronger than his. In other words, as long as he missed now, it was almost impossible for him to find Jian Wushuang in the future. No, he must die. No matter what price I have to pay, even if it means risking my life, I will kill him and avenge my second and third brothers. Ruler Emo-chun clenched his hands tightly. His fingernails had already dug into his flesh and blood, causing blood to flow out. He was desperately trying to think of a way to kill Jian Wushuang. At this moment, countless thoughts flashed through his mind, but most of them were not confident that he could kill Jian Wushuang. Suddenly, Ruler Emo-chun's eyes lit up. Mr. Nine Whiskers. Ruler Emo-chun thought of a person. This was a supreme figure who was enough to make Ruler Emo-chun feel fear and despair. One had to know that with Ruler Emo-chun's strength, he was almost invincible in the purple microgalaxy. Although the large number of pirate forces in the purple microgalaxy were not ordinary fourth-level rulers, however, only one or two of them could match Ruler Emo-chun's strength. Although his strength could match Ruler Emo-chun's, Ruler Emo-chun was not afraid of him. However, that Mr. Nine Whiskers definitely had the qualifications to frighten Ruler Emo-chun. One could imagine how terrifying the other party's strength was. Yes, find Mr. Nine Whiskers. With his strength, he should be able to kill the ruler of the universe boat. As long as I can invite him, I will have the chance to avenge my second and third brother. Ruler Emo-chun's eyes flickered with a bright light. After making his decision, he immediately set off. A space pirate faction occupied a part of the purple microgalaxy. This space pirate faction was called the Ice Heart Valley. In terms of strength, this Ice Heart Valley could not be compared to the large-scale space pirate factions like the Nihility Star and the Ancient Yuan Star. It was even inferior to many space pirate factions in the purple microgalaxy. It was merely an insignificant small-scale space pirate faction in the purple microgalaxy. There were only over 100 people on the Star Island under its command. The previous leader was only a second-tier ruler. However, since the arrival of a mysterious expert thousands of years ago, the status of the Ice Heart Valley in the purple microgalaxy was completely different. Although the overall strength of the current Ice Heart Valley was still far from the strength of the large-scale space pirates, the large-scale space pirate forces such as the Nihility Star and the Ancient Yuan Star would never dare to provoke the Ice Heart Valley. The reason was that the mysterious expert in Ice Heart Valley was called Nine Whiskers, who, Ruler Emo-chun directly used the space passage of Nihility Star and arrived outside Ice Heart Valley at the fastest speed. Please report that the great leader of Nihility Star, Emo-chun, is here to pay his respects to Mr. Nine Whiskers. Ruler Emo-chun did not put on any airs. The space pirates of the Ice Heart Valley were all shocked when they heard Ruler Emo-chun's words. The great leader of the Nihility Star? He was the most supreme existence in the entire purple microgalaxy. Normally, the entire purple microgalaxy would tremble if he stomped his feet. As for the Ice Heart Valley, they were not qualified to come into contact with such a supreme existence before. However, the other party had taken the initiative to come and pay him a visit. Instead, he was extremely obedient and did not put on any airs. All of this was because of the Lord in Ice Heart Valley. Soon, the space pirates of Ice Heart Valley went to report. Inside the Ice Heart Valley, in a simple wooden house, a white-haired man with a long beard was sitting on a futon. This white-haired man was thin and weak, as if he could be blown down by the wind. However, even though he looked extremely thin and weak, he had an unprecedented reputation in the purple microgalaxy. His name was enough to scare the leaders of the top pirate forces in the purple microgalaxy. Fear. He was Nine Whiskers, an ascetic cultivator who wandered alone in the universe. According to the understanding of the pirates in Ice Heart Valley, Mr. Nine Whiskers had lived for several chaos cycles and had been wandering around the universe for several chaos cycles. His wandering was different from most people. People like Jian Wushuang, who came from their hometown and wandered in the universe, had a clear purpose, which was to go to a wider territory and see more of the world. He wanted to fight with more experts to improve his strength. However, this was not the case for Mr. Nine Whiskers. He roamed the universe and did not think about where he was going. He was a real person who could endure long years of lonely cultivation. Now, Ruler Emo-chun had arrived in front of Mr. Nine Whiskers. The Nihility Star Emo-chun greets you, Mr. Nine Whiskers. Ruler Emo-chun was, after all, the great leader of the Nihility Star, but in front of this Mr. Nine Whiskers, he appeared to be extremely respectful. Ruler Emo-chun. Mr. Nine Whiskers raised his head and glanced at Ruler Emo-chun. 3,000 years ago, when I defeated you, I told you that if one day you made a great improvement in your strength or broke through to the 5th stage, you could come and challenge me. Could it be that you have already made a great breakthrough in your strength by coming here today? That's not true. Ruler Emo-chan shook his head. I came here today because I met an expert whose strength is extremely terrifying. I think you should be interested in him, Mr. Nine Whiskers. Oh! Mr. Nine Whiskers stared at Ruler Emo-chan. Ruler Emo-chan, however, had an embarrassed smile on his face. Ruler Emo-chan knew some things about Mr. Nine Whiskers. As soon as Mr. Nine Whiskers arrived at the Purple Microgalaxy, he immediately went to look for the leaders of the various top pirate forces. He directly defeated the leaders who had already reached the peak of the 4th level. They all left a message that if he made a great progress or had a great breakthrough, he could go to the Ice Heart Valley to look for him. It was obvious that Mr. Nine Whiskers was not only an ascetic cultivator, but also an ascetic cultivator who loved to fight and was eager to fight with the strong. None of the space pirates in the Purple Microgalaxy could catch Mr. Nine Whiskers' eyes. Even though Emo-chan was the ruler, he was no different from an ordinary space pirate in Mr. Nine Whiskers' eyes. In the eyes of such a person, he only had himself and a strong opponent. It was precisely because of this that Ruler Emo-chan dared to invite Mr. Nine Whiskers. According to what Ruler Emo-chan thought, the owner of the universe boat was also extremely powerful, at least much stronger than him. Such a strong person. This Mr. Nine Whiskers should be quite interested. As expected, Mr. Nine Whiskers began to ask, "Who is the person you are talking about? Where is he? What level of cultivation is he at? He is currently within this galaxy. As for his name, I don't know, but he has a universe boat in his hands. As for his level of cultivation, he should only be a 2nd-tier ruler," Ruler Emo-chan said. "What?" Mr. Nine Whiskers' expression changed. He stared coldly at Supreme Ruler Emo-chan. "Are you playing with me?" "No, no." Supreme Ruler Emo-chan repeatedly shook his head. "Mr. Nine Whiskers, there is something you do not know. On the surface, that universe boat ruler might only be a 2nd-tier ruler, but his true combat power is terrifyingly strong. He is definitely at the pinnacle of the 4th tier, and he is also the most terrifying. Not long ago, I joined forces with my 2nd brother and 3rd brother in an attempt to kill him and seize the universe boat. In the end, I was defeated by him head-on, and it was a crushing defeat. My 2nd brother and 3rd brother both died at his hands. Even I was only able to use my life-saving secret technique to escape with my life. That person killed your 2nd brother and 3rd brother. You wanted revenge? So you came looking for me?" Mr. Nine Whiskers continued to stare at Supreme Ruler Emo-chan. Supreme Ruler Emo-chan's heart trembled. This was indeed his true goal. This Lord Nine Whiskers had clearly seen through it with a single glance. However, he was not surprised. "I indeed have this goal. However, that person's strength is terrifying. There is no doubt about this. Although his divine power is only at the level of an ordinary 4th-level Supreme Ruler, his understanding of the universe essence of the Tao of the Sword is probably at the peak of the 5th-level Supreme Rulers. In addition, his sword arts are even more terrifying. He also knows a sword formation. Once that sword formation is unleashed in just 2 waves of attacks, my 2 brothers will die. They won't be able to struggle at all. Even I will be heavily injured. You have to understand that he was able to simultaneously activate his sword formation to deal with 3 of my brothers. If he had focused his sword formation on just 1 person, the power would have been even more terrifying." Ruler Emo-chan sighed in amazement. Sword formation? He was able to deal with 3 people at the same time, and in just 2 attacks, he was able to kill 2 high-level rulers of the 4th level. Mr. Nine Whiskers' eyes flickered. Clearly, he was already very interested. Ruler Emo-chan's guess was right. This Mr. Nine Whiskers was not only an ascetic cultivator, but also an extremely warlike ascetic cultivator. It was precisely because of his warlike nature that he would think of ways to challenge the top-tier great beings of that star field every time he passed by a star field. Even when he came to this purple micro-star river, he did not hold back. However, no one in the current purple micro-star river could be taken seriously by him. However, the universe boat ruler mentioned by Ruler Emo-chan now, had a strength that piqued Mr. Nine Whiskers' interest. The three of you aren't weak, especially when you join forces. Even an ordinary fourth-level pinnacle ruler could be suppressed by you. In fact, you might even have a chance to kill him after a long time. However, when the three of you joined forces, you were easily defeated by the other party and even killed 2 people. Based on this point alone, that universe boat ruler must be at the pinnacle of the 4th level, or perhaps even stronger. I do indeed wish to fight against such a great being. Mr. Nine Whiskers laughed. That universe boat ruler is very powerful, but to you, Mr. Nine Whiskers, he is probably nothing. Ruler Emo-chan said respectfully. Take me to him. Mr. Nine Whiskers stood up. Ruler Emo-chan was instantly overjoyed. Don't be too happy. Mr. Nine Whiskers glanced sideways at Ruler Emo-chan. I'm only going to find him because I want to fight him. As for whether or not I'll be able to kill him, that will depend on my mood. I went to find him just to fight with him. As for whether I can kill him or not, it depends on my mood. Ruler Emo-chan was shocked by Mr. Nine Whiskers' words, but he did not dare to say anything. Immediately, Ruler Emo-chan led the way personally and took Mr. Nine Whiskers to chase after Jian Wushuang's universe boat. The universe boat continued to move forward in the galaxy, but Jian Wushuang was always cultivating in the universe boat. He knew that the universe was vast and dangerous. Although he had some strength now, it was only limited to the edge of the universe. If it were in the depths of the universe, there would be many stronger than him. There were even many supreme experts in the true core of the universe. Even a strong supreme expert would die. Even the founder of the Red Cloud lineage, Patriarch Red Cloud, who was a top supreme expert, died in the fierce battle. Because of this, Jian Wushuang did not dare to slack off. Only by becoming stronger and climbing to the top of the universe would he be able to reach the level of Lingyun Star Master or even stronger one day. Only then would he be qualified to truly roam the universe. But now he was still far from that level. Over the years, I've been trying to fuse the 6th law of darkness. I feel that I'm just a little bit away from fusing it, but I still feel that I can't really fuse it. Maybe it's because I'm too comfortable now, and I don't have the oppressive feeling I had in the divine beginning realm. That's why I can't really fuse it. Jian Wushuang could not help thinking. Indeed, he was now very comfortable. In fact, ever since the crisis in the divine beginning realm was resolved and he had rulered the power of the divine will of the divine beginning realm, he had been very comfortable. The burden that had been on his shoulders had been completely relieved. However, when Jian Wushuang was weak, the reason why he was able to grow at an astonishing speed step by step was because of the burden on his shoulders. He had always felt great pressure, which was why he had made such great progress. Now, although he had made greater progress with the help of the divine will of the divine beginning realm, Jian Wushuang felt that it would not be so easy to make a breakthrough without the pressure. Now, even if I fight with a 4th-level ruler, I can't feel any waves in my heart. Although I came to the universe to search for my ruler in the 9 Luminaries galaxy, I also came to fight with more powerful experts. However, even though I have fought several times, there are no experts who really make me look forward to it and make me feel pressure. Jian Wushuang shook his head slightly. Even though he was at the peak of the 4th level, he did not feel any pressure at all. He had easily defeated Ruler Emo-chan. If he had been a little more serious, Ruler Emo-chan would not have been able to escape from him. I hope that I won't be so dull in the following years. I also hope that I can meet some opponents that make me feel pressure and look forward to. Jian Wushuang sighed quietly. He longed to meet and fight with real experts, but he had never met any of them. This made Jian Wushuang inevitably feel a little disappointed. At this moment, Jian Wushuang suddenly raised his head. His soul power had already sensed the void in front of him, and 2 figures were rapidly approaching. He recognized one of the 2 figures. It was the one who had luckily escaped Ruler Emo-chan, and the other one, that man. Jian Wushuang stared at the thin, white-haired, long-bearded man who had stopped in front of the universe boat and was standing in front of Ruler Emo-chan. Jian Wushuang had been extremely sensitive to experts since he came to this day from the divine beginning realm. The moment he saw the white-haired, long-bearded man, Jian Wushuang had a faint premonition that this man was an expert. Although he looked extremely thin and weak and did not emit any aura, Jian Wushuang could feel the arrogance between his brows. One had to know that he was not an ordinary person who could be so arrogant in the universe. In addition, Ruler Emochen had come with this man. He even stood behind this man and was obviously very respectful. Obviously, this person was much stronger than Ruler Emochen. It was not surprising that Ruler Emochen had specially invited an expert to avenge his two brothers. Ruler, that person gives me the feeling that he is very strong, Devil Flame said solemnly. I have the same feeling. Jian Wushuang nodded, but his face was still smiling, and there was a trace of expectation in the depths of his heart. He longed to meet an expert. He longed to meet an expert who could really bring him pressure and make him treat him seriously. And this person in front of him might be qualified to do so. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang directly left the universe boat and appeared in front of the white-haired, long-bearded man. Mr. Nine Whiskers, he is the ruler of the universe boat. Although he is only a second-level ruler, his battle strength is extremely terrifying. Ruler Emochan stared at Jian Wushuang with eyes that seemed to spew fire. Ascetic, Nine Whiskers. The white-bearded man stared at Jian Wushuang calmly. Ascetic? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. It was the first time he had heard of the term ascetic when he was adventuring in the universe. Ruler, ascetic is the kind of person who roams around the universe all year round, without any purpose, just to cultivate and become stronger. Most ascetic cultivators like to challenge some experts in the star field every time they pass by, so as to constantly fight with them and constantly break through to improve their strength. It can be said to be extremely crazy. In the universe, ascetics are all real lunatics, but there is no doubt that they are all very strong. Devil Flame's voice sounded in Jian Wushuang's mind. Although Devil Flame stayed in the universe boat, he could still communicate with Jian Wushuang's consciousness. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and secretly exclaimed in his heart. It was indeed a crazy cultivation method to wander around the universe and challenge experts all year round. Blood Sword comes from an unrated star field, Jian Wushuang said directly. I heard from Ruler Emochan that you defeated the three brothers by yourself. Your sword formation is even more terrifying. You killed two of his brothers in just 2 rounds of attacks, leaving him no choice but to use his life-saving secret skill to escape. You must be very strong. I look forward to seeing you, Nine Whiskers said indifferently. Blood Sword, show me your full strength. If I am satisfied with your strength, I may spare your life. Nine Whiskers stood there and said indifferently, Spare my life? How arrogant. Jian Wushuang smiled and said, Me too. If you disappoint me, you don't have to leave here alive. Ha! Interesting. A smile appeared on Nine Whiskers' face. He was an extremely arrogant person, and his strength was indeed outstanding. Because of this, he was arrogant and said that he would spare Jian Wushuang's life, but he did not expect Jian Wushuang to be so arrogant. It was obvious that both of them were eager to fight with stronger opponents. In this regard, they were very similar. Without any more nonsense, Nine Whiskers had already made his move. He slowly raised his right hand and pointed in Jian Wushuang's direction. This finger instantly formed a dazzling cyan light beam. The cyan light beam carried a destructive aura and directly shot toward Jian Wushuang through the void. Such powerful power! Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted when he saw Nine Whiskers' attack. Jian Wushuang had fought with several rulers of the 4th level, including Star Ruler Mo Yun and Star Demon Ancestor. He was very impressed, but now he could see it with just one glance. The terrifying power contained in Nine Whiskers' finger. In terms of divine power, Nine Whiskers had definitely reached the peak of the 4th level. He was at least much more powerful than Ruler Emochen, who was at the peak of the 4th level. I'm afraid that Nine Whiskers can crush most rulers of the peak of the 4th level with just his brute force, Jian Wushuang thought. However, his movements were not slow at all. With a flip of his hand, the Wuxia divine sword appeared in his hand. Above the void, Jian Wushuang waved his sword. The sword light swept across the galaxy, as if it was about to be cut in half. The sword light collided with the green beam of light. The terrifying power burst out, but in the end, the sword light and the green beam were destroyed. Yes, although the power of divine power is only at the level of an ordinary fourth-level ruler, your comprehension of the origin of the sword principle universe is indeed very high. What you are holding in your hand should be a principle supreme treasure, right? 9 Whiskers stared at the divine sword in Jian Wushuang's hand. 9 Whiskers. Where is your weapon? Jian Wushuang stared at 9 Whiskers. He knew very well that 9 Whiskers had just casually attacked with his finger, relying purely on the power of divine power. Haha, I, 9 Whiskers, have roamed the universe for several chaos cycles and challenged countless experts. Even a ruler at the peak of the 4th level must have fought with thousands of people. However, there are very few who are worthy of my weapon. If you don't have enough strength, you are not qualified to ask me to take out my weapon. 9 Whiskers laughed heartily. How arrogant! Jian Wushuang sneered. However, Ruler Imo-chan, who was at the edge of the battlefield, knew clearly that 9 Whiskers was not arrogant, but he did have the right to do so. When 9 Whiskers first came to the Purple Microgalaxy, he defeated many top experts in the Purple Microgalaxy with his brute strength and few of the pirate forces in the galaxy. At that time, Mr. 9 Whiskers was empty-handed and did not take out his weapon. However, even if he did not take out his weapon, 9 Whiskers was still able to sweep through everything. For example, in the Nihility Star, Ruler Imo-chan had joined hands with his 2 brothers, but he easily defeated Mr. 9 Whiskers empty-handed. It was precisely because Mr. 9 Whiskers was so ridiculously strong that Ruler Imo-chan thought Mr. 9 Whiskers had the ability to kill Jian Wushuang. So he specially invited Mr. 9 Whiskers. Humph! How much of your strength can you display without using your weapon? Jian Wushuang snorted. He did not bother with 9 Whiskers. If he did not take out his weapon, he would attack with lightning speed. In an instant, Jian Wushuang's body split into 3. 3 figures charged toward Mr. 9 Whiskers from 3 different directions at the same time. At the same time, the Wuxia divine sword in his hand burst out with a shocking sword essence. Whoosh! Whoosh! Terrifying sword shadows attacked from 3 different directions at the same time. Fast! Incredibly fast. Not only fast, but also extremely strange. Although Mr. 9 Whiskers was extremely powerful and his soul perception was extremely sharp, he could not completely distinguish which of the 3 shadows was Jian Wushuang's because in his eyes, the 3 shadows were exactly the same. It's so fast to create 3 different illusions purely by relying on movement techniques. This movement technique is even more bizarre. 9 Whiskers exclaimed, but he still did not show any intention of taking out his weapon. His body shook, green light rose from the sky, and he seemed to be bathing in a green ocean. From the green ocean, terrifying green light beams shot out one after another. Jian Wushuang relied on 3 figures to attack from 3 directions at the same time. However, the green ocean formed by 9 Whiskers was extremely vast. Could attack from all directions at the same time. Moreover, the green light beams that shot out were all extremely powerful. They were all extremely powerful. Bang! 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 The dense sounds of collisions were heard in the galaxy. Ruler Imo-chan, who was at the edge of the battlefield, was already terrified. It's too powerful. This blood sword is too fast, too strange, and its swordsmanship is extremely powerful. However, Mr. 9 Whiskers seems to be even more powerful. It's obvious that he's just casually attacking and hasn't shown his true abilities. However, the Cyan Ocean formed by him is already terrifying enough. Ruler Imo-chan was a ruler at the peak of the 4th level. However, he felt suffocated by the strength of either of the 2 who were fighting on the battlefield. At this moment, break! Jian Wushuang suddenly shouted. In the center of the battlefield, a shocking sword essence suddenly burst out. The entire galaxy was completely covered by this shocking sword essence. Then, an extremely violent and monstrous sword light with endless sword principle universe origin slashed down directly. The sword light directly cut into the Cyan Ocean formed by 9 Whiskers. Immediately, the entire Cyan Ocean rippled wildly, and the cyan light dissipated. A moment later, a cyan figure condensed in the void next to him. You actually defeated my move head-on. Your sword skill is really amazing. Nine Whiskers' eyes emitted a layer of bright light as he stared at Jian Wushuang. There was a trace of excitement on the corner of his mouth. Ha, Bloodsword. I admit that you are qualified to make me take out my weapon. Finally willing to take out a weapon? Jian Wushuang looked at Nine Whiskers calmly. The weapon Nine Whiskers took out was a purple long spear filled with cold air. With the purple long spear in hand, Nine Whiskers also smiled wickedly. At this moment he became extremely charming. That spear is a principal supreme treasure. Jian Wushuang's pupils shrank. He had fought several fourth-level rulers along the way in the purple microgalaxy, but none of them had a principal supreme treasure. For example, although Ruler Emochan was the great leader of the Nihility Star, he did not have a principal supreme treasure or magic weapon. However, as an ascetic cultivator, Nine Whiskers had been adventuring in various territories and was extremely powerful. It was not strange that he had a principal true treasure in his possession. Mr. Nine Whiskers, you've taken out your weapon. Ruler Emochan, who was watching the battle from outside the battlefield, was excited. Back when Nine Whiskers had come to Purple Microgalaxy and swept through many space pirate forces, he had easily suppressed them with his bare hands. Therefore, it was the first time that Ruler Emochan had seen Nine Whiskers' magic weapon. It was a long spear that had reached the level of a principal true treasure. Bloodsword. I hope you can last longer in my hands. Don't die immediately, Nine Whiskers said with a smile. I told you, you're too arrogant. Jian Wushuang was too lazy to argue with Nine Whiskers. The moment he saw Nine Whiskers take out his magic weapon, he had already made his move. His speed was still extremely fast, leaving a strange afterimage in the galaxy. His body movement burst forth, and the swift and fierce sword light slashed toward Nine Whiskers. Nine Whiskers only raised his head slightly, and the cold purple long spear in his hand stabbed forward. Clang! The sound of metal colliding rang out, and the sword light dimmed on the spot. Jian Wushuang also felt that his hands were a little numb, and he kept stepping back. This power? Jian Wushuang looked at Nine Whiskers in surprise. When he had not used the magic weapon, Nine Whiskers' divine power was already extremely powerful. It could be said that he had reached the peak of the fourth-level ruler. But now, he took out the principle-based treasure magic weapon and casually stabbed out. The power was nearly 10 times stronger than before. Such terrifying power was no longer within the scope of the fourth-level ruler. Although the fifth level is only at the fourth-level realm, the power of Nine Whiskers' divine power has definitely reached the threshold of the fifth level. Jian Wushuang's expression became serious. He had fought many fourth-level rulers, but this was the first time he had encountered a fifth-level ruler. Although Nine Whiskers was not a fifth-level ruler, his power had already reached the level of a fifth-level ruler. Ha! Bloodsword. Take a few of my spear attacks. Nine Whiskers let out a hearty laugh. His body flickered, and the cold violet spear in his hand was like a flood dragon emerging from the sea. Endless power gathered at the tip of the spear. As the terrifying cold light gathered, it exploded again. One strike after another, the power of each strike exceeded that of a fourth-level ruler. Jian Wushuang also relied on his superior understanding of the universe origin of sword principle to use his powerful swordsmanship to block the incoming spear. However, Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship was indeed very high level, but in terms of divine power, he was only at the fourth-level ruler level. Compared to Nine Whiskers, he was indeed a little inferior. Nine Whiskers was still very casual. He did not use any extraordinary spear techniques. He just relied on his overbearing divine power to suppress Jian Wushuang. Nine Whiskers is only a ruler at the peak of the fourth level and is not a special life form, but his divine power is indeed beyond that of a fourth-level ruler. He must have cultivated some special divine power secret skills. Jian Wushuang thought. Suppressed by Nine Whiskers' spear skills, Jian Wushuang looked a little embarrassed. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang retreated quickly and pulled away from Nine Whiskers as fast as he could. What? You can't take it so fast and want to admit defeat? If so, you are disappointing me, Nine Whiskers said in a low voice. Admit defeat? Jian Wushuang smiled. 9 Whiskers, you are indeed very strong. At least among the 4th-level rulers I have met, you are the strongest. Therefore, you are qualified to let me use my full strength. Oh! 9 Whiskers' expression changed. You mean you haven't used your full strength yet? A glimmer of light flashed in 9 Whiskers' eyes. He was an ascetic cultivator who loved to fight and yearned to fight with real experts. At the beginning, 9 Whiskers did have a trace of anticipation for the battle with Jian Wushuang, but it was not too strong. After all, his own strength was too strong. There were not many 4th-level rulers that he could take seriously. In this fight with Jian Wushuang forced him to take out his weapon, which was already very impressive in his eyes. But now, Jian Wushuang said that he had not used his full strength until now. This made 9 Whiskers a little excited. The ruler of Universe Boat has not used his full strength? How is that possible? Ruler Mo-chun was a little confused. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly and said, 9 Whiskers, as a 4th-level ruler, you should be proud that you can force me to use my full strength. As soon as he finished his words, Jian Wushuang moved again. He moved again, but this time when he moved, there was a special power sweeping out. This power was the power of principles. That was right. From when Jian Wushuang came to the universe, including when he fought with the pirates in the Purple Microgalaxy and even killed the 2 leaders in the Nihility Star, Jian Wushuang only relied on his divine power, which was comparable to the 4th-level rulers, and his understanding of sword principle and swordsmanship. Even so, he was the most extreme among the 4th-level rulers. He could barely fight against 9 Whiskers, who had burst out with the divine power of a 5th-level ruler. However, Jian Wushuang was known as an incredible genius because he had comprehended a trace of the universe principle. He had comprehended a trace of the universe principle at the level of a principal ruler. Now that he had broken through to a ruler, his comprehension of the universe principle had been constantly improving over the years because he had rulered the heavenly Tao will of the divine beginning realm. Until now, his comprehension of the universe principle had reached a completely new level. The current him had truly stepped into the threshold of the universe principle. Stepping into the threshold of the universe principle and barely comprehending it were 2 completely different things. The power of the universe principle that Jian Wushuang was using now was much stronger than before. Previously, he just barely integrated the universe principle into his attacks to increase its power. But now, he had directly activated the universal principle, and even his body speed had a huge change. Whoosh! With the help of the universal principle, Jian Wushuang was completely strange. He easily released hundreds and thousands of illusionary bodies, which were all extremely real. Even the soul power of the ruler could not detect which one was the real body. Suddenly, a cold light shone, and one of the illusionary figures swung his divine sword down. The cold and dazzling sword slashed down with the power of the universe principles. 9 Whiskers narrowed his eyes. He had noticed that this sword was different from the sword skill that Jian Wushuang had used before. However, he was confident in his own strength, so he did not pay too much attention to it. He still stabbed the long spear in his hand. Clang! There was another sound of metal colliding. This time, 9 Whiskers' expression changed abruptly. He felt a tremendous power from Jian Wushuang's sword light. This power not only made up for the gap between Jian Wushuang's divine power and his, but also made Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship more profound and terrifying. Swish! 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 Jian Wushuang's body burst out several times, and each time he burst out, countless phantoms appeared at the same time. 9 Whiskers could not keep up with Jian Wushuang's speed at all. When Jian Wushuang collided with his spear, 9 Whiskers was shocked to find that he was completely at a disadvantage. Universe Principle. It's the Universe Principle. This blood sword has actually comprehended the Universe Principle, and not just a little bit. 9 Whiskers' eyes were filled with unprecedented shock. He was an ascetic, and his talent was not weak either. It was precisely because of this that he was able to display the battle prowess of a 5th-level ruler at the 4th-level ruler realm. One had to know that in the universe, unless there was some special reason, it was almost impossible for a 4th-level ruler to challenge a 5th-level ruler. However, 9 Whiskers had done it. He had always thought that he was powerful enough and a genius enough. However, no matter how powerful he would not be so arrogant as to say that he was more heaven-defying than those who had comprehended the universe principles. After all, that was the universe principle. At the ruler level, those who were able to comprehend a trace of the universe principle were all super strong. Under normal circumstances, they were all rulers at the fifth or even the final level. After all, the level of the universe principle was too high. Only those who had reached a certain level of strength could come into contact with the universe principle more easily and have a chance to comprehend it. It could be said that even the rulers at the fifth level or even the ultimate level could comprehend a trace of the universe principle. However, a ruler at the second level had completely crossed the threshold of the universe principle. He was a monster among monsters. Of course, Nine Whiskers did not know that Jian Wushuang had comprehended a trace of the universe principle at the level of a principal ruler. If he knew, he would be even more shocked. On the battlefield, the situation changed in an instant. Because of the power of the universe principle, Jian Wushuang's strength instantly soared to a whole new level. Not only was his speed and figure much faster than Nine Whiskers's, but his swordsmanship had also reached a whole new level. Most importantly, the power of his swordsmanship had also reached a whole new level. At the very least, it was not weaker than Nine Whiskers' spear technique, and it was even stronger. Haha! Amazing, amazing! Bloodsword, I was quite satisfied with your strength in this battle, but I didn't expect you to completely exceed my expectations. Haha, Nine Whiskers, have comprehended the universal principle, and this is my first time fighting. I want to see how amazing the universal principle is. At this moment, Nine Whiskers was so excited that he was about to go crazy. Universe principles. Even in his dreams, he yearned to comprehend a trace of universe principles, but he did not even have the chance to touch them, let alone comprehend them. He was not qualified to touch universe principles at all. Even though he had encountered countless experts during the past few chaos cycles, none of them could comprehend a trace of universe principles. But Jian Wushuang was the first. It could be said that this was the first time that Nine Whiskers had truly come into contact with the principles of the universe. How could Nine Whiskers not be pleasantly surprised by such a rare opportunity? Nine Whiskers, I also hope that you won't disappoint me, Jian Wushuang said coldly. He also hoped that Nine Whiskers could burst out with super strength and let him fight with his full strength. However, the strength that Nine Whiskers had revealed was clearly not enough. Haha! Come, come! Nine Whiskers let out a maniacal laugh. At the same time, a large amount of green light rose from his body. This green light gathered together and vaguely formed a huge ancient green Buddha behind him. This ancient Buddha was holding a green lamp in his hand. Suddenly, the ancient Buddha opened his eyes. The cyan light in the sky completely replaced the light in the galaxy. The aura on Nine Whiskers' body suddenly soared. Boom! 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 The void collapsed one after another. The long spear in Nine Whiskers' hand was like a huge star at this moment. This star also contained extremely terrifying power, as if it was about to explode at any time. The long spear stabbed out one after another, as if stars were smashing toward Jian Wushuang one after another. Before, Nine Whiskers had only attacked casually, but now he had also used his strongest strength. He also displayed his secret skills and spear techniques, fully unleashing his strength. Under the support of the power of the universal principles, Jian Wushuang simultaneously burst out with astonishing strength. The two figures collided with each other again and again in the galaxy. The battlefield was filled with afterimages, the power of divine power, and the terrifying shockwaves that spread out in all directions. Ruler Imo-chan, who was outside the battlefield, was already stunned. So strong that it makes one's hair stand on end. This is definitely not the battle strength of the fourth level, but it has already reached the fifth level. Mr. Nine Whiskers and the ruler of the universe both have the combat strength of the fifth level. Ruler Imo-chan was trembling and roaring. The fierce battle in the center of the battlefield had reached a climax. Jian Wushuang had pushed his swordsmanship and the power of the universe principles to the extreme. Nine Whiskers had also fully unleashed his spear skills and secret skills. However, the two of them were still evenly matched. This intense battle lasted for a full 15 minutes.